May 27th, RTD board meeting is called to order. We are convened a little tardy as of 5:35 p.m. I respectfully ask everyone present to remain silent and those joining online to remain muted unless you are recognized. The meeting recordings, along with the unofficial minutes of the meetings, will be posted as soon as practicable on the board's website. Visit rtd-denver.com, and a live stream of this meeting is also available via RTD's YouTube page. During tonight's meeting, we are also providing communication access real-time translation, also known as CART. Anyone who would like to access this service should send an email to the RTD board office at rtd.boardoffice@rtd-denver.com, and a link will be provided. In addition, the CART transcript can be automatically translated to Spanish. Director Bouquet, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I will read the land acknowledgement. The RTD Board of Directors acknowledges that the land on which our buses and trains operate is the traditional territory of the Ute, Cheyenne, Arapaho, and other contemporary tribal nations that are historically tied to these lands. We honor our indigenous elders who have traveled, inhabited, and stewarded these mountains, hills, and plains throughout generations. May this acknowledgement demonstrate a commitment to working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of inequity of the Native and all historically oppressed peoples, and recognize their current and future contributions in the district as we move forward. I will now call the roll. Director Arcuri.
Here.
Director Binker.
Present.
Director Bouquet.
Present.
Director Busick.
Here.
Director Chandler.
Present.
So you just disappeared if you. Director Geisinger is excused and absent. Director Guchenritter.
Present virtually.
Director Guzman.
Present.
Director Harwick.
Yep.
Director Larson.
I'm here.
Director Nicholson, sorry.
Present in person.
I am also here in person. Director Pagliari.
Present.
Director Ruscia. Present. Director Whitmore here.
Present.
So we have 14 in attendance and 1 absent and excused. Before we move on with the meeting, I want to note a few changes from the agenda following last week's executive committee meeting. The first is that I've added an action item related to the Front Range Passenger Rail District's funding request. We have representatives from the district here to talk through the request and hear suggestions for further improving it. Additionally, at the request of Secretary Nicholson, we have an external guest from the City and County of Denver, Department of Licensing, joining to speak to the proposed ordinance change that the city is considering. Welcome. I'm sure you know what you got yourself into. Given that we have external guests for both of these items, I've requested a modification to the agenda so that both of those items could be considered earlier in the evening. This mirrors the process we followed last year when we were working through our Access on Demand program modifications. Is there any objection to the change? All right, seeing none. There are no retiree awards for this, just as I have to ask, doesn't say how long. There are no retiree awards for this evening. Second quarter retiree awards will be announced at the June 23rd meeting, the board meeting. Next is our public participation period, which is open to anyone who would like to address the board. As we have both in-person and remote attendees, in-person comments will go first, followed by those who are participating remotely. For those attending in person, please come up to the podium when your name is called. If you're not already signed up to speak and would like to do so, please approach the podium when I call for additional speakers after the online speakers that have registered will go. For those attending virtually, if you wish to speak and have not already done so, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 on your phone. Staff will unmute you when it is your turn to speak. If you are dialed in, please press *6 to toggle your mute settings. Please bear in mind that by participating in this process, you are being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, then your comments will have to be submitted in writing. If any speaker has documentation or reference material for the board, or if any member of the public would like to submit written comments, or if you'd like to be contacted regarding their public comment, please email the board office at rtd.directors@rtd-denver.com. Speakers should begin their remarks by stating their names, and we'll have up to 2 minutes to provide their comments. And I really want to stress, we have a long agenda tonight, so I'm going to probably be rude if you're much over 2 minutes. I appreciate everyone adhering to that limit. Our first registered speaker is former Director Jamie Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Jamie Lewis. I'm the Transit Advisor for the Colorado Cross Disability Coalition. I attended your work session this afternoon at 3, and I've come away pretty hopeful that you guys can address the deficit that's happening in the next 2 years. A couple of low-hanging fruit things that I did not see in the packet. Unfortunately, I was only able to see that packet last night. So CCDC will go through that line by line and provide you recommendations on that. I just have to share a personal experience. I lived at 18th in Arapahoe like 15 years ago, and I used to go to the DIA by picking up the bus at the Greyhound station. That was $12. I'm wondering why A-Line is only 10. That's $2. I've done the math. That's $10 to $12 million a year. So it's something I really ask you guys to consider. Second issue is FlexRide. I think some of the directors have pointed out we're subsidizing each rider between $100 and $400 per ride. That system is outdated. I really think we should be using our access on demand model. If somebody's getting off a fixed route and they're in that particular situation where they have a last mile connection, give them an Uber or Lyft voucher for about $10 to $15. Most of those trips are 1 to 2 miles. That would save, even at $100, it would save you 85%. So that's something to look at. We do not support raising rates, and I'm going to give you a reason why. We feel like we haven't addressed the fare hoppers yet. As you guys know, I'm transit dependent. I use the 0, the 15, the 16, and in my estimate, 20% of those people do not pay fares. That's unacceptable. And it's unacceptable to raise rates on the people that do pay. So what I suggest is we start using our transit police a little more often on buses, and then hand people these cards that would list the nonprofits that provide free tickets to them. We don't want to be cruel, but also transit is not free. And the last point I wanted to make to you is I haven't heard any talk about cutting paratransit, and I'm really excited about that. For people that don't know, paratransit is one of your more popular programs. It's growing month over month. That's the system that you want to put the money into. And obviously, we want to serve our disability community as best as we can. CCDC has been a partner with RTD for over 36 years, and we're willing to sit with you and work with you as we go through this process in the next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Emeritus Lewis. Jack Rosenthal.
Good evening, directors. My name is Jack Rosenthal. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I wanted to speak with you in support of what I believe is an extremely reasonable ask from the Front Range Rail Passenger District for the $5 million to support station development and outreach regarding it. I believe it is upon RTD to invest in the success of Front Range Passenger Rail and the COCO train. We're all very excited for it. And that one of the things we look at, I've obviously been out on the campaign trail and I've spoken with a lot of folks up in Boulder County about what their concerns with RTD are. And the thing I hear over and over again is we already paid for the train. Why are we paying again? There is not enough information out there to figure out what is joint service, what is COCO. Are these services the same or different? Did we pay for this already? Did we not? I think it's easy for us in this room to look at ourselves as experts on this subject. We understand what is joint service and what is the Front Range Passenger Rail, but not everybody knows where those lines are right now. And this isn't an ask for electioneering communication. This is an ask to make it clear what RTD is putting out on the table and that our constituents are going to get. what they've paid for. And so I ask you to support that tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. The next speaker is Sandy McWayne.
My name is Sandy McWayne, and I've got a couple concerns. I believe that any place that has steps, like down at Union Station and stuff by the A line and stuff, there's steps. And if somebody that's partially blind but still has a little bit vision, I believe those steps ought to be highlighted with the edges highlighted with yellow or white so they're visible, so people aren't falling off of them. I use a walker besides trying to use a cane, and I had an incident out in Arvada where there was some steps, and now I am fighting who's going to be responsible for my injuries on these steps because they weren't marked. At least the very top step was not marked to warn you that there were steps coming. And so it's in between RTD and Arvada, the city of Arvada, who's going to take care of that issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Next speaker is Charles Davenport.
I'd like to say good evening to Mr. Chair and the members of the RTD board. My name is Charles Davenport, and I'm a longtime resident of Denver, Colorado. I'm here tonight to support the request from the Front Range Passenger Rail District for $3 million. Public transportation has been my best friend growing up here in Denver. As a young man in the 1970s, public transportation provided me with the independence to meet with friends, transportation to my first job, and also school events without having to bug my parents too much. I remember taking the bus from Park Hill to downtown Denver. I believe it was the number 32, and went all the way down to downtown. There I went to the Paramount movie theater to see a matinee, clothes shopping at Fashion Bar, and record shop, and of course you had to get a slice of pizza and some candy from Woolsworth. And so I share that to say that public transportation has been very important to me as well as to the community as well. All levels of communities connect to each other and allow citizens to reach out and participate in opportunities beyond their immediate surroundings. By supporting the $3 million request, you are ensuring our community has the knowledge through responsible pre-ballot planning to make an informed choice about our future. Connectivity is the heartbeat of equity. It is how we stay connected in a region. So once again, there's been over 20 town hall meetings, 274 support letters, 25,000 Coloradans already established the name train of COCO. And as you can tell, the momentum is very, very clear. So I end my remarks as I started. I'm here tonight to support the request from the Front Range Passenger Rail District for $3 million. I urge the board to support this request. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Charles. Thanks for taking some of the directors back to memory lane with Fashion Bar. Jay Homestead.
Good evening, directors. My name is Jay Homestead, Senior Director of Preservation Advocacy for Historic Denver, and I'm also here to ask you for your support for the $3 million loan for the Front Range Passenger Rail District. Colorado has a unique near-term opportunity to deliver passenger rail service, and the Front Range Rail District's operating plan is vetted. It takes a pragmatic approach using existing Class 1 freight corridors and longstanding partnerships with host railroads. As a result, the project can move forward without acquiring new right-of-ways or building new tracks. Front Range Passenger Rail will reduce highway congestion, shorten commute times, and expand travel options by providing safe, efficient and reliable transportation for workers, families, students, seniors, and visitors. By offering a convenient alternative to highway driving, the service can also help households spend less on gas, parking, and overall vehicle costs. So together, we can build a safer, more affordable, more connected Colorado. I urge you to approve their request. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Major, sorry, it's the handwriting's missed me a little bit. Major Nesson Kiston, hopefully close.
You were very close. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Chair, and for directors for allowing me this opportunity. My name is Major Nerson Kiston. I represent the Salvation Army. It's really my privilege to be with you here today because I want to echo what the last few speakers have referenced. You know, one of the biggest challenges for a lot of the people the Salvation Army serves is ability to have accessibility to employment. Most of our folk don't live in the Denver metro area. And so travel is made far more effective when they have rail opportunities. It gives them accessibility, which is an important part of their ability to get adequate employment. I do also want to say that I recognize what is before you today. It's a challenging time, and finances is always limited. But I want to share that when we equip our people with the knowledge and information to make good decisions, informed decisions, it does really help build a stronger, more collaborative community. And so I want to echo it and say, friends, I would love for you to consider this and strongly endorse this on behalf of the Salvation Army, because when people have accessibility to transport, they have accessibility to healthy employment. So thank you for this opportunity, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your comments. Aaron Mirapel.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair, and RTD board members. My name is Aaron Maripal. I'm the president and CEO of Urban Land Conservancy. I'm here tonight to support the request from the Front Range Passenger Rail District for $3 million, which is a fully repayable bridge loan. I want to give you a little bit of perspective of our work with you guys. I don't know how many of you know ULC, but over the last 20 years, we have done over $500 million in redevelopment, economic development around rail transit stations, TOD, transit-oriented communities. That has been a big part of what we do. That includes housing, it includes community space, mixed-use development, it includes over several thousand jobs. So again, I think for this request of $3 million, it's a loan, and it's something that I think you all as a community should absolutely want to be in support of. At this stage, I think you know that these resources are not going to be for political advocacy. It's going to be really to work with the community to build an education. This is, again, I want to reiterate, it's a fully repayable loan. So it's a bridge loan. And these dollars are critical to pass this. I work up in Fort Collins as well. And the idea of being able to connect between these communities, the economic development opportunities, the jobs, the housing, all of those key components are what this line will do. And so, again, ask for your support and recognize also there's a lot of great things you guys have done with rail. I wasn't even talking about the bus line piece, just saying with the rail. There's a lot of wonderful, fantastic things that have come out of your work over the years, and we look forward to working forward on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Our next speaker is James Roy, could be Wah.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. My name is James Roy. I'm the Executive Director of Atlantis Community Housing. And I'm here to also support the $3 million request for the Front Range Passenger Rail District. And why I'm here to support this is as a affordable housing developer. We build and operate housing for folks with physical and intellectual disabilities here in Denver. And for our residents, reliable regional transit is not optional. It's the difference between independence and isolation. So affordable housing really benefits, of course, as you know, from all of the connectivity that RTD and the Front Range line could provide. And I don't want to reiterate, I want to reiterate, of course, everything that everyone else has said, but I also want to say that I think there's some really great direct benefits to RTD along with this, and that's advancing transit-oriented communities, really strengthening the connection at Denver, the Union Station, and our multimodal hubs around the region, and accelerating the momentum that's already been started by Fast Tracks. So, of course, again, the request is a full repayable loan of $3 million plus interest, and to be able to engage the community and make sure that everyone is knowledgeable about what will be on the ballots eventually. So thank you, and thank you.
All right, thank you, James. Sajapal Rangaraj, sorry. You have GDT on here, you don't have to affiliate, but.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to appreciate all the work everyone does here. And I want to acknowledge that I am supportive of both the action items on today's agenda, but primarily will speak towards funding for the Front Range passenger rail request. So starting off, I think this board is very well aware that we are going towards an extremely challenging and painful decision ahead when it comes to the budget and when it comes to RTD's future. That being said, I think when it comes to funding FRPR, it is about making a low-risk bet about the future of transit in our state and in our district. As a state, Colorado's taken even bigger bets, sometimes to the tune of billions of dollars, including like with the Denver airport, which had its own baggage debacle and still came out to be the wisest investment that the state has made today. Supporting FRPR to get on the ballot is imperative to connect the Northwest Metro and other parts of the region. And I think, as other speakers have iterated this is a repayable grant. I'm not an advocate for any quid pro quo, but as an engaged stakeholder in this process and by engaging with FRPR early, we will be able to support and influence key decisions through the ballot measure as well as into the future. As we continue engineering and design, RTD should have a say in how we can gradually expand B-line service, potentially how FRPR can go and seek out federal grant funding to buy the right-of-way from BNSF, and how local grant components of FRPR funding can be used to change local land use. So I think all of these factors is why we should support this right now. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Jessica Beecham.
Hello, my name is Jessica Beecham, president of the National Federation of the Blind of Colorado. And I just want to say thanks to all the directors who had such engaging participation in the study session today. I think most of us left feeling hopeful and proud that we have a board of directors who is committed to upholding our tradition of having best-in-class transit in Colorado. I'm excited that we are looking toward being creative and coming up with models that least impact service cuts. And I hope that we give special consideration to how those service cuts will impact paratransit, as we know that paratransit is cut whenever services are cut. I also do want to mention that we have the Colorado Center for the Blind here in Littleton, Colorado. It is a world-class blindness training center, and one of the big reasons that people come to the Colorado Center for the Blind is to learn on Colorado's fantastic transit system. And we count on RTD to keep students coming and to keep helping that great blindness training flow. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much, and thanks for your hard work, and we're ready to jump right in there and work alongside you.
Thank you for your comments, Jessica. Ernesto Luca?
Just to your right here. Good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. My name is Ernesto Luca. I am an instructor at the Colorado Center for the Blind, and I teach blind individuals how to navigate around the city and how to use public transportation. And for us blind individuals, the transportation is crucial to get around the city. So we really urge you guys to consider other options and not cut the services. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Last registered speaker is the person who has the second worst handwriting to me in the building. It's Michael Farrington.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, Board of Directors. I'm Michael Farrington. I'm here just to speak in support of the N-Line expansion. I really appreciate my county commissioners being here and continuing to support this. I really appreciate your hard work in continuing to meet and staff's hard work in continuing to meet with us and work with this. I'm really optimistic that we are very close to being able to get, via the Clean Transit Enterprise Fund, the N-Line promised fulfilled. There are many folks in this room who are talking about a different unfulfilled rail promise, but I want to continue to encourage this board to continue to deliver on finishing not just the B-Line fast tracks, but also N-Line up north. We have an opportunity to really finish something here, and we have a chance to really begin restoring trust. Finishing the B-Line is going to take many years, and the chance to finish the N-Line and have that be successful, that 5.5 miles, gives us an opportunity to gain that experience, gives us that opportunity to work with the stakeholders, and to really show voters in anticipation of a potential ballot measure that we can continue to move forward. I'd encourage you to support the county commissioners and the effort to get the N-Line off the ground. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Executive Manager Kroll, do we have any online comments today? Or
Thank you,
online
Chair
senators?
O'Keefe. At this time, I see 3 hands raised, although we could have more. The first of whom is Mary Hennick.
Mary, go whenever you're ready.
Hello, Mary Hennick, Transit Advisor, ADAPT Colorado. First and foremost on the minds of the board tonight is that you have a budget problem. That is undeniable, and it goes hand in hand with having a service problem. Access-a-Ride is failing the people who depend on it. Excessively long trips, missed trips, scheduling barriers, and unreliable service. That is why AOD became essential. People are not using AOD because it is a luxury. They are using it because the primary system is not meeting their needs. In the agenda packet, it indicates that at least one director proposed eliminating AOD. The solution is to your budget problems is not to cut backup options like AOD. Please do not budget R2D's budget. Please do not balance R2D's budget on the backs of people with disabilities. Being a good steward of taxpayer dollars means providing service in the most cost-effective manner. We have the data. Your decision to cut AOD is pushing paratransit riders back onto AAR at a much higher cost to the agency. We also have the data showing that increasing fares to AOD significantly reduced ridership. Senate Bill 150 requires an independent paratransit study, which hopefully will provide you with a much better understanding of the needs of people with disabilities. Until then, leave paratransit alone. Enough harm has already been done. And we support a no vote on giving millions to Front Range passenger rail because you just don't have the money right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Mr. Kroll?
Next, we have Tim Keenan.
Tim, please begin when you're ready.
Good evening, directors and everybody. My name is Tim Keenan. I'm the new State Transportation Chair for the National Federation of the Blind of Colorado. And let me first say that I'm heartened by this new approach that management and the board seem to be taking of a more kind of collaborative menu of, of giving a menu of different possibilities for for optimizing or leaning down RTD so that we can make it to 2028 and 2029 when everybody considers it. It's almost a given, it seems like, that you'll be asking voters for more money. And so I just, overall, I hope we want to get to 2028 as a strong organization and not an organization that the voters are looking at being like, what have you done for me lately? And now you want more money? I think if we go and we cut a lot of, services that people depend on going into 2028, that ask is going to be a lot harder. And one more thing I wanted to mention is that similar to Mary Hennick and former Director Lewis, RTD, the access on demand, is a very efficient, very, much more inexpensive than Access-a-Ride. Provides a better, higher level of service. It is what we should be pushing people towards rather than, so if there are people who are currently using Access-a-Ride who don't need that full door-to-door high level of service, we should be doing all we can to get them to switch to Access on Demand, despite the fact that it's considered a supplemental, complementary service. It is a better service in pretty much every regard. And the more people we get on there, the less people, that's a win-win for everybody. It's cheaper for RTD, it's a better level of service for the riders. And I'm looking forward to collaborating with the board of directors and other stakeholders to, make this transition as well as relatively painless as possible for as many riders and customers and stakeholders as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Mr. Cole, the last online speaker.
We have actually two more at this juncture. The next speaker we will go to is an individual with a phone number ending in 7218. To toggle your mute settings, I believe you'll press *6. It seems like you are on.
Hi, my
mute
name is
now.
Hi, thank you. My name is Maureen Felton. I just wanted to have my voice heard that I support the comments of the National Federation of the Blind and CCDC. I moved to Colorado 17 years ago, and I moved here because of the robust transit. I was able to work here, and I graduated from college here, and now I'm raising my family here. And we know that a successful, thriving city is so often built around really robust, dynamic public transportation. And so I am just urging you to keep investing into Denver and our public transit, and to not cut anything with paratransit or access on demand. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Mr. Cole, the last speaker.
At this point, we have two more speakers. So Aaron Daly is next.
Aaron, please speak when you're ready.
Okay, so sorry. Had to get off mute. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I am also a member of the National Federation of the Blind, and I wanted to echo, what my other federationists have said about not cutting any services either to main routes or that would, affect paratransit as well. I also moved here almost 2 decades ago now, and I'm from Boston, and it smells a lot less like pee on the rails out here, and I really like that. But it's also so much easier to navigate. So many places in Boston, you're unable to get down to the subways to go places. Same thing in New York City. And the fact that I came out here and you can get to any rail that it's a possibility. It is absolutely amazing, and we don't want to lose that. I already had, unfortunately, a job that I worked for due to COVID. One of the lines was cut that went near there. Luckily, I was able to get on remote work, but that would have been absolutely devastating if I was not able to attend my job. And the last comment that I wanted to make is, I know that we are limiting public comment to 1 hour, and I just do not think that that is a smart decision, especially when we're looking at cuts to the service. It makes people feel like their voices aren't meant to be heard, and I think that you should reconsider that, because I understand that it can be sometimes very frustrating to have a long comment period, but you were elected by the public, and I think it's really important to hear all the voices of those who want to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Mr. Kroll, the next speaker.
Next, we have Derek Selbo.
Derek, please.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you to all the directors. I sent each of you an email earlier this afternoon. I don't know whether you've yet seen it or not, but the one thing I think a lot of people have not yet really considered in terms of making decisions is, what if it happened to you? Okay, you're probably thinking, what the hell's he talking about? Well, I wasn't expecting ever to lose my eyesight and go blind, but I did, like many other millions of people around the world. And I ask each of you, before you make any decisions that are going to affect the disabled community, due to all the reasons that have already been discussed, I ask you to ask yourself one question. What would I do if it happened to me? And let me just leave this last point. I know so many people, and I've met so many people who thought they were just perfectly healthy, perfectly great, and then they had a heart attack, or they had a stroke, or they had a car accident, and they were suddenly either blind or otherwise disabled. Please don't ever think it couldn't happen to you. So I do ask you to think about, if I were needing paratransit, how would I be feeling if it was being yanked away from me? Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Mr. Kroll, is there anybody else online?
No. There are, however, several written comments. If you would like, I can read those into the record.
Yep.
Mr. Derek Selbo, who you just heard from on the topics he spoke of, Matri Lazaroff on service reductions, Robert and Howard Mendelson on Front Range Passenger Rails request, Colorado Center for the Blind, Dan Burke, and Brenda Harrison, all on budget and AOD.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Is there anybody else in the audience that did not get registered that would like to speak? If you can approach the podium, state your name, and you have 2 minutes.
Good evening, members of the board, GM CEO Johnson. My name is Matri Lazaroff, and I am a student who depends on RTD to do anything I need to do in my daily life. And as such, I was extremely disappointed to read the board packet for the study session that just concluded. In that packet, cutting service was listed as a top priority in closing the budget deficit. I understand that RTD is currently facing an extremely serious financial crisis, and that service will need to be cut significantly in order to keep the agency financially solvent. However, running service should always be RTD's top priority, no matter the circumstances, and options to raise revenues or even find ways to offload service onto other agencies or organizations should always be explored before cutting service. The first thing that should be thought about is if raising revenues or finding other funding is possible. This was at almost the lowest levels of priority listed in that packet. At the very bottom, for finding more efficient service, that was in the middle. And then at the very top, cutting service. And there was no mention of evaluating the efficacy of contracted service and how much that saves the agency money. No mention of possibly running tax measures limited to municipalities. And there was very little, I think it was slightly mentioned of possibly working with the airport to fund Skyride service. And only after all options have been completely exhausted should we be asking, how much should we be cutting service? Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else in the audience wishing to be recognized? Okay, we will close public comment and move on to our external entities report. As mentioned before, we're moving two action items that are also involve external entities after this presentation by Adams County on the RTD N-Line partnership. Chair Julie Mullica is here, and Commissioner Odoricio is back there too. It's like the dream team. Okay. I'll turn it over to you when you're ready. And
yeah, thank you so much. First of all, thanks for having us back again. I know that we've been in front of you a lot lately, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys again and be a little louder. You know, really we wanted to just provide you an update on the work that we've been doing as a board in trying to create a plan for the N-Line, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. So where we have moved from the last time we spoke is we have staff fully engaged, working with RTD staff at this point, and we're working on coming back to you guys next month at your meeting with a formal ask, working on that IGA and making sure that we have milestones implemented in the IGA, the ask of the amount, and then, of course, any other additional language that our lawyers like to have in there. But we see this as a starting point, and this is one of the things that we've been communicating effectively with our stakeholders, our community, is this is preliminary work. It's laying the foundation for what a coalition for the N-Line could look like, and then how do we get to 90% design? So in a lot of ways, we see this as asking for a grant as a way to kind of kick off all this work. Without a plan for the N-Line, you know, we will continue to struggle as we have for many years. And so we really see a value in pulling this group together, using the funds to get to 90% design so we could understand as a community how to further finance this project and move on to the next steps. I'll let my colleague, Commissioner Odoricio, fill in anything that I missed.
I really don't have much other to say than thank you for being able to, we'll come back with more details next month, and it's basically the startup cost for us to be able to get to accomplish the next steps as we move down the path towards completion. But the parts that you guys are going to participate in up front are really the catalyst for the success that we hope to see happen. And you guys have a lot going on, and we know that. And we know that you're working really hard to address a lot of challenges, a lot of changes over the next few months. And so just know that we support you and we appreciate everything you guys are doing.
And the final thing I'll add before any questions that you guys have, I believe that there is a one-pager in your packet. And that is just a communication tool that we're using to, you know, reach out to our coalition. Again, it's just the benefits of the N-Line. We only have 2 stations to go, people. And the N-Line is one, I know. It seems like a lot. And I mean, you know, frankly, with the numbers, the N-Line really is one of the most popular when it comes to ridership. And so I've actually had a lot of people asking, why aren't we starting with the N-Line? I was like, that's a great question. You should ask other people that. So they're excited that we're at least even talking about it. And of course, having business groups as well interested in completing that all the way to Highway 7 is going to be a big deal for us, so regionally.
thank you, Chair Mullica, and thank you, Commissioner Odoricio. If we can, I think people may have a couple of comments or questions if you're okay with this, but I want to thank you for, and we've kind of gone from 0 to 100 miles an hour really quickly, but it is a really thoughtful process, and I can't express enough appreciation for you taking a risk at the beginning, kind of looking at different options going forward, and I thank you for the commitment. It's been really inspiring. Is there anybody who has any questions, comments? Director Guzman.
Thank you again for coming before us. I appreciate the work that you're doing.
I would highly suggest a conversation about our fiscal policy, especially when it comes to expenditure, and how your plan aligns with that, particularly with respect to employee ownership and our financial success, because our entire fiscal policy revolves around 4 particular areas. I think the first 2 you can knock out of the park rather easily. Those last 2 are the ones that you will be speaking our language on. And unfortunately, it's also a block if it's not done the right way. And we are fiduciaries, so we have to do our fiduciary duty of loyalty, which means, and obedience, and follow our own policy. And I think that's part of the conversation that we will be having with other entities tonight. But as you're planning this out, it would be good to take a peek at that and provide answers ahead of time about how those align. Thank you.
I appreciate the flag. Thank you.
There is a future commissioner of Adams County trying to get your attention. Yeah, trust me, the day just got better. Treasurer Banker.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for coming and keeping this project on our plate, because we need to keep watching this and getting involved and moving this project forward. Tonight, I'd also like to point out that Executive Director Craig Sechrist is here from Clean Transit Enterprise, and so it seems very appropriate that the CTE board passed a resolution just yesterday supporting this effort, and we'll be putting some dollars into the effort. And it just seems like we've got a lot of good team members here between RTD, Adams County, and CTE. We're going to make it happen. So thank you. I'm looking forward to next month.
Thank you, Treasurer Banker. Director Pagliari.
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly say that I have family on 136, and they're very excited, and the community is excited. They're bringing stuff in the mail. They've been talking about it, but it's not just the N line. They're excited about the federal BRT project. And expanding transit access and opportunities makes everything better up north. And I welcome a conversation, and we'll be watching you closely so we can do the same thing to finish the beer line to Golden. I mean the G line, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, we got a brand. Any other directors like to speak? Thank you for coming again. It's really important for us to hear from you regularly, and even on small accomplishments going forward. So thank you for coming down and speaking to us tonight. And thank you. Okay, we are now on, as I mentioned, 2 agenda items that involve outside guests. The first is for the Front Range Passenger Rail District funding. This is for the board to authorize the general manager and CEO or her designee to enter into a intergovernmental agreement with FRPR. So leadership is here tonight to support station planning, public engagement, and communications within RTD's service area for an amount not to exceed $5 million. So we have General Manager Sal Pace, Board Member Chris Nevitt, and is that it? Did I get everybody? Okay. It is an action item. Yes, sorry. Did I say that? Mr. Kroll, do we need a motion before they can go, or I thought it was after?
You can have them go, and
Yeah,
then we'll take
I think
the
it's after,
motion.
yeah. Okay, the floor is yours, Mr. Pace.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and whatever that smell is not
What is that smell?
All right, my mic was off. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for your time, Mr. Chair and Board of Directors, GM and CEO Johnson. I'm going to go a little bit back in time to when the Front Range Passenger Rail District was created in statute in 2021. And actually, in our enabling legislation 3222-103-2A, it directs the Front Range Passenger Rail District in statute to work collaboratively with RTD to deliver passenger rail service in the state. In fact, the enabling legislation even places the GM and CEO of RTD on our board. The nature of the collaboration is written into state statute, including more recently, we know the pair of legislation from 2024 that provided additional revenue for Clean Transit Enterprise. It's going to be providing revenue for the N line, but also 184 that directed us to work together on delivering joint service. In fact, RTD's participation in joint service is what we're calling in the delivery plan for Front Range Passenger Rail our phase 1 of Front Range Passenger Rail for Colorado Connector. Our fate and Front Range Passenger Rail and RTD's connection is clearly spelled out together in state statute as intending for the two entities to be working together to delivering rail service for the constituents of our mutual constituents. So today, and I sent off an email earlier and want to give Director Russo credit for several very good questions that I spent a few hours working through answers on today. But I also sent an email saying that we would welcome a friendly amendment to go from 5 to 3 million. So just for the pre-ballot work, you know, when we pass the ballot measure in November, there will be a delay in when we receive funding. But I think at that point, we'll have a lot of friendly partners in addition who we could float some money with. And the revenue will be just for pre-ballot planning as well as education, part of our statutory responsibility. And then I also requested an amendment to ask for simultaneous reciprocal IGA establishing payment obligations from FRPRD to RTD based on realistic payment timeframe, and ask that we allow staff to work out those terms as well simultaneously. As a reminder, we're not asking for post-ballot bridge funding or pre-ballot. We're just asking for pre-ballot activities. And what the funding is going to support. It's going to support station area planning, first mile, last mile connectivity, multimodal integration, public informational outreach, environmental justice engagement, town halls and stakeholder coordination. And some key RTD connected areas include Denver Union Station, Westminster, Broomfield, Boulder, Longmont, Littleton, Douglas County coordination, what I'm calling the future South Joint Service areas, as well as our work to deliver special event stops for South Broadway as well as Burnham Yard. And what the funding request does not support, no funds for advocacy, campaign expenditures, electoral communication, or ballot issue activity. And the activities would be limited to statutory planning, station coordination, and informational outreach. So what are the benefits to RTD? Strengthens RTD's multimodal hubs, supports future feeder ridership, advances fast tracks adjacent connectivity, improves first mile, last mile planning, positions stations for future investment. We're planning on over $1.3 billion in station area improvements upon passing a ballot measure, including 9 of those including the RTD area. And it's aligned with the RTD strategic plan priorities around community value, customer connections, and regional partnership. But probably more pragmatically, what we're talking about is capacity building, working on coalition building, and support for collaboration, and a path towards long-term stability, poking a hole into the future to help support future revenue for RTD, which we will be fully on board with and ready to support. Intercity passenger rail has had a boom in the United States in recent years. Locally, we know about the Winter Park Express as it's increased its capacity. It's also stayed at near sold out capacity the entire time. The most recent corridor along the Gulf Coast has doubled its expected ridership in its first year. Among our focus will be equity and environmental justice with outreach to African American communities, Hispanic and Latino communities, environmental communities. We're going to have multilingual engagement, ADA accessible participation, and an emphasis on underserved communities. And we welcome accountability with the reciprocal payment IGA that we're asking for, audit and reporting provisions, eligible expense documentation, reimbursement controls, procurement compliance. And in closing, and I'll pass it over to my board vice chair, we're already engaged in partnership, as I mentioned, and joint service, as I said, is our phase one. That's how tied at the hip we are. The request accelerates existing condition coordination among RTD, FRPRD, CDOT, freight railroads, and local governments. And the goal is a stronger integrated regional transportation network for Colorado. And I truly believe working together we'll find success together. So I'll pass it over to Chris to fill in where I left off.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board and GM and CEO Deborah Johnson. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. I don't have much to add other than to thank you for your consideration of this request. I really appreciate, and the other members of the Front Range Passenger Rail District Board appreciate the far-sightedness of this board, that your focus hasn't just been on RTD and RTD's business, but the business of travel and transportation throughout the Front Range, including parts of the Front Range that aren't part of the RTD district. So our ambition is to connect all those, but RTD and the RTD district are still the axle around which the Front Range wheel spins, and that you're looking out beyond those spokes and making this investment in our success, I think will redound to your success many, many, many times over. And so I just really appreciate your consideration of this and your farsightedness in considering this investment.
Thank you, Vice Chair Nevitt and GM Pace. I just want to say that over the last few months, as we've worked through a number of issues, I am amazed by your joint ability, along with Chair Putnam, to engage in conversations with our directors and talk to anybody that we thought had an interest or had an idea. You've shown an incredible engagement with us. This relationship or the topic tonight does require a little bit of trust on what happens. And from my perspective, you have established trust in the way, with me at least, that from my perspective, that would be necessary for this agreement. So I thank you very much for how you've gone forward the last couple of months. I do need a motion now, and then we can let others.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I got Nicholson and Whitmore. I am going to, so
So Chair, could
Yep.
you read the recommended action language, just so everybody has an understanding of the starting point?
Yes, it is for the board to authorize the general manager and CEO or her designee to enter into the intergovernmental agreement with the Front Range Passenger Rail District to support station area planning, public engagement, and communications within RTD service area for an amount not to exceed $5 million. So we have a motion on the table. I would like to offer a manager's amendment that covers a couple issues that Mr. Pace has worked out with other directors. This is not me, but for the sake of efficiency, I believe the district is okay moving the number from 5 million to 3 million and strengthening the repayment expectation to cover win or loss at the ballot. Is that true? Okay, so I have that motion. I need a second on that.
I'll second, and I have questions
Okay,
regarding the amendment.
We'll come to your, oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead, Director Risha. Sure, yeah. Yeah, I can withdraw the amendment, and we can do that. Yeah, that's all right. I'll withdraw. We'll come back to that. Okay, yeah. Okay, now we're just on general discussion on, yep, please. And I assume you would like to be recognized. I'd be really disappointed if you weren't. Okay, Director
Meeting
Risha.
if I didn't have a question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Pace, for your very bold request. So in your updated request, you had decreased the ask, as we just heard, from 5 million to 3 million. You and I spoke today at length, and my colleagues know this, I am much more comfortable with a number like 500,000. And so for reasons I think we can imagine given the study session earlier, one of the other things that I had asked is that we narrow the scope, and I've shared that language with you, and now that it's been several hours, is it okay if I put you on the spot? Can you speak to that? Is that something that if we were to move forward at any amount that you guys would be comfortable with? And can you share a little bit about if, we go in that direction, what FRPRD would be able to do with whatever amount of funds in a more defined scope provided? Thank you.
Thank you, Director Risha. I appreciate your suggestions. We think that 3 million is necessary to implement the plan that we've developed, and we think it's a strong plan. Obviously, if the amount were decreased, we would decrease the amount of some of the work that we're planning on doing or hoping on doing. If the scope were limited, we would fit within the scope.
Can I just offer clarifying?
Yeah, please.
So I apologize, Mr. Pace. For scope, I meant things you can and cannot spend money on.
Yeah.
So if you could speak to that, and I'm happy to give you a copy if you don't have a copy of the potential amendment. I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't have it in front of you.
Is this a fairly lengthy one? It's not one you could read?
I could read it, I just address it. I mean, essentially, it removes the communications aspect, focuses on the service development with particular consideration for service development planning as it relates to environmental concerns, equity populations, ADA accessibility, RTD stations, and transit planning that is materially related to RTD's services. Essentially, more strongly defining the link between what we provide and what you might provide. So I guess really what it does is it just removes the communications outreach that is outside the planning aspect. And I just wanted, because I saw in your proposal, 3.2 million is like marketing and that kind of engagement. I just wanted to know, how you potentially felt about scope, a narrowed scope, right? Maybe more mimicking what CDOT has outlined.
Yeah, so it's actually 2.3, and we include in there, a lot of educational materials that we consider, as sort of a core component of what we're trying to do. And so, I think that's a critical piece to making sure people understand what the proposal is. And I know Vice Chair Nevitt had a couple thoughts there as well.
Thank you. Yeah, certainly advancing the planning is really important, but the external dimension of this is also really important. I think we've done an amazing job in a very short period of time in reaching the excited, but there is a whole set of people who are less informed, less on top of it, perhaps the skeptical, and being able to reach them too, to get further down into the population that will benefit from Front Range Passenger Rail. I think that's a absolutely vital part of this enterprise. I know GM Pace has worked long and hard to make it as efficient as possible, but jettisoning that external communication, I think, would be a big mistake.
Thank you. Do you have another comment?
Just
Yeah.
a clarifying question. So the funding that CDOT has provided in this IGA is 30+ pages, is pretty comprehensive. I read this and I get a sense of, what you're doing with these funds. Can you just explain as quickly as possible what the difference, what is it that you're asking us to fund that CDOT is not funding, or that your board hasn't already appropriated funds for? Because this is very comprehensive outreach and engagement.
Yeah.
And planning, plan.
Yeah, and thank you, Director Roshan. Thank you for all your homework and research. So we do have, and just because we had to deal with timing constraints, last month we posted a number of RFPs for potential expanded service that we will pull off of our agenda on Friday if this doesn't get approved. And if that's the case, that's the case. And included in that is some heavy education spending for two-direction education, receiving input on the delivery plan, on sharing portions of the delivery plan to constituents within the RTD district in particular, and on some media work. And I think it would put us in a really strong position for being successful. But again, I think the planning work is as Chris said, the planning work is critically important as well. And I do, acknowledge and appreciate that you do think that that's important work. So, obviously, I think our preference is to move forward with the educational piece. What we would do, these are 2 RFPs that have been submitted and gone through the full legal procurement process and scored, and we have a couple ready to approve or to take to the board, but we would pull those off if the board pack it.
Thank you. So we've got a couple other directors, Director Gutschenreiter, and then Director Bouquet and Director Larson. So you are up.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair O'Keefe. So my question is around, for the past month plus that we've been talking about this in the nature of being a loan. And I feel like recently the verbiage has switched to being a grant. My understanding is that by definition, a grant is not repayable. So could you just comment on that? I mean, the intention is that we would be repaid.
Mr. Pace?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So with Tabor restrictions, we can't legally take on debt without the vote of the public, which is something we might be asking for permission for this November. But what we could do is sign a simultaneous IGA, which is why I suggested one IGA added on to the proposal. That would be an IGA where we are committing to pay a grant back to RTD.
Thank you.
Is
this following on that question specifically? Okay, Director Roshan.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Director Gutschenreiter.
Thank you. And so that repayment would not necessarily have any interest associated. It would just purely be a repayment of whatever we grant you.
I think we are completely open to having interest to that, and I think that's something I'm completely happy supporting. It could be part of the
Thank you, Mr. Pace. Sorry, Director Kuchner, is that it? You
No,
follow up?
one more. And so it is Front Range Passenger Rail that is guaranteeing the money to be repaid. And if the ballot does not pass, are you in fact in a position that you would still be able to repay that?
That's a good question. We are part of joint service. However, joint service is a six-party entity. There will be revenue at some point from joint service, but we wouldn't have the sole ability to authorize joint service dollars. But potentially, but no guarantees.
Okay. Thank you. I'll just say from my vantage point, without clarity on those items, I don't know that I can be a yes vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Kuchner. Director Risha?
Oh,
Oh, okay, Director Chandler. Sorry, I've got, in the queue, I've got Director Bouquet and Director Larson, then you're up. Thank you. Oh, and Director Busick. I didn't see. Please go ahead, Director Bouquet.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much, GM Pace and Vice Chair Nevitt now for being here. Really greatly appreciate it. In regards to what was brought up of, hey, we're open to reducing from 5 to 3 million. What is that 2 million cut?
The 2 million was proposed as bridge revenue when we pass a ballot measure before we start receiving tax revenue.
Okay. So if potentially, you just slightly alluded to it to a couple answers back, if this board would vote no, would not be in favor and potentially giving out grant or whatever you'd like to call it, what are your potential other resources you have?
As we talked about last month, we've gone to all the entities that we could think of, including the $3 million grant and IGA from CDOT. At this late time, I think it'd be I don't think there's anywhere else we could go after this. But we have received funding from CDOT as well as Department of Local Affairs and previously revenue or funds from the State General Fund as well.
Okay. I'll come back for some more, but thank you.
Director Larson, then Chandler, Busick, Guzman, or Curie.
I think my question really might be for CFO Mackey. So in the document we were provided for this question, it states that a specific portion of the 2026 expense budget must be identified in advance to absorb the ask. Should it be invoiced under the agreement, and then talks about identifying the trade-off as being important to be consistent with fiduciary standards and statutory budgeting requirements. And that's really my big concern is the trade-off. I mean, what are we having to give up in terms of our service and so forth to provide this money? And I was wondering if there are, if right now there are any areas of the operational budget where we are favorable that would allow us to essentially make this trade-off without really having to make a trade-off because we're already favorable in some area and essentially should have the money to pay for this kind of on an income statement basis. Thanks.
CFO Mackey?
Yes, thank you for the question. Really good question. And I do recommend, based on fiduciary responsibility and duty of care, identifying before the transaction is approved where the expense would come from in the 2026 budget in case the ballot measure is not successful. And we are so early in the year. Last month, we presented the ending February results, and so we still have 10 months. And so there's definitely favorable areas all over the budget, but it's very early in the year. So my recommendation would be probably to utilize budget funds from the operations department operating expense budget, as it's quite large, and there's definitely, room in the balance of the year to make adjustments there.
Director Chandler.
Thank you very much. My question is a couple of things. First of all, I'm concerned that the Taxpayer Bill of Rights is getting kind of skirted around here. And that concerns me. It sounds like, we're almost laundering money, so to speak, from one agency to another to avoid, a vote of the people through the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. So I'm very concerned about that. It's creative financing in my book. The second thing is that if this is not being used for persuasion at the ballot box, why do you need it before the ballot measure is passed? So it's obviously being used for educational purposes, so to speak, but it really is used, and personally, I don't like it when my own tax money is used against me to use to get more tax money for me as a taxpayer. So I know everyone knows I'm a hard no on this, and I just want to continue to advocate for the taxpayer. I'm not in favor of this. I think, RTD is facing some huge problems right now, and I don't think that it's our place to bail out another entity that's also facing some significant problems. So I would ask that everybody really take a hard look at what we're doing here. And, if this is going to pass, it will pass. It doesn't need our educational money to help it pass. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Director Chandler. Director Busick.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. It's kind of hard to hear you, Mr. Chair. Speak up. I will incorporate by reference my comments from the study session. I will not repeat them here. In essence, though, I believe that funding FRPR is the first important step in funding the Joint Service Plan. And as you could tell from my comments in the study session, I don't think that's something we should be considering right now. I believe ultimately, voting to approve this funding is a vote to lay off RTD employees. Voting to approve this funding is ultimately a vote to gut services, including paratransit services throughout the district. And so I will not be in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Busick. Director Guzman.
Thank you. You answered one of my questions, which I wasn't sure about, which was the bridge, no bridge. So thank you for that and the clarification. I want to state with all of you that although we are part under legislation of a group of entities that are expected to cooperate and collaborate together, the language actually says we're supposed to develop an implementation plan for using our respective authorities to deliver, construct, and jointly operate, not fund each other. Our fiduciary responsibility, first and foremost, is to be loyal to RTD and obedient to our own fiscal policies. I'm not trying to get sued as an individual member of this board by doing something that is outside of our purview. And I think that that's where we're headed if we do this. So as much as I appreciate the ask, I will also be a no, because this would directly violate parts of our fiscal policy, specifically so that you are aware that we will align our expenditures with strategic plan priorities, in particular employee ownership, which requires us to attract, engage, and retain, following up on Director Busick's note, our highly skilled and professional workforce to run our transit network. That means keeping RTD employees employed. And the financial success, which is the responsible management of all financial resources, aligning operational costs with our community value and continuously maintaining a balanced budget. This throws our budget further out of balance, excuse me. Additionally, item number 2, that we will continue to implement the most cost-effective and reliable methods of delivering public transportation services. Number 3, that we will maintain its assets at a level that protects capital investment and minimizes future maintenance and replacement costs, according to our asset management policy. This is out of line with that as well. And this is the board-approved policy, y'all. RTD will maintain risk management programs which will provide protection against loss and mitigate exposure to liability. We are immediately putting ourselves in a liable situation if we act outside of our fiduciary duties. I bring that to your attention because although I would love to be more perhaps cooperative and collaborative in this effort, I do believe that this is a form of electioneering and it is violating Tabor, so I will be a no. I urge my directors to consider their fiduciary responsibilities as we move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Guzman. I've got Director Arcuri, Harwick, then Nicholson.
Thank you. I am looking at packet page 14, just so you know, and I believe this is from the PowerPoint presentation you gave us when you were here last month. And I hope I'm looking at the right thing, and I'm sure you'll figure this out soon enough if my question doesn't make sense. Okay, first of all, this page, the words on it say Phase 2, May 1st to August 17th. Obviously, we're behind the ball on that. So I'd like to know what your timeline is for this money. And are the figures here still correct? Like you have your total remaining cost of $4.176 million. In the footnote, it says you've already secured $1.1 million, so you could scale your plan back without additional funding and use $3 million of the loan earmarked for pre-ballot work. So I'm just kind of confused. How much money are you seeking from us tonight, and what is your new timeline? Yeah, and then just, you know, you don't put together an IGA overnight either, so where would that fit in this timeline, please? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Director. So, you know, currently we have about 1.2 in the bank, and we should be securing another 1.5 from CDOT here shortly. The second tranche of the CDOT IGA is based on completing the first set of criteria. We've completed 95% of that and spent 95% of those dollars as well. These ballot access costs are separate from our operating costs. So this does not include existing staff time, staff costs, et cetera. So the proposal, we are seeking $3 million. That would include the various components, the station area planning, the marketing and branding and communication, and the research piece and the education coalition building community engagement. That's a big chunk of it there. We would scale back significantly the community engagement piece. Without these funds, you know, what we'd like to do. We also would scale back some of the station area work as well as the educational piece as well, substantially. Most of the cuts would come from the educational piece.
So for example, if we were willing to do an IGA for $2 million, those are the areas that you would reduce from this chart here. Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Thank you, Director Arcuri. Director Harwick.
I'm getting the consensus. There's a few no's tonight, and I was a no until the other day, and I was talking to my wife, and I was sort of lamenting this, and she asked me if I was putting my own feelings or if I was thinking about the district and about Arvada, and I was putting my feelings about the governor and just in general putting them ahead of what is best for Arvada. And I hear everybody's things, but I have to think about what is best for Arvada, and a successful Front Range passenger rail is best for Arvada. While it doesn't go through Arvada, it touches it. And on a recent field trip up there, I saw how close it is and saw what the short-term and the long-term economic development will happen at all of these stations. And the crazy thing about transit is we get like a 4-to-1 return on investment. And so while there's this short-term outlay, in the long term, if we see $250 million of investment, that's $1 billion back. If we do $1 billion, we see $4 billion back. Like this is something that is the long-term success for the Front Range. And I firmly believe that, one, we can figure out how to do this in a way that is appropriate. But this is a win, and Front Range Passenger Rail being successful is RTD being successful. And so I am in support, and it's a bit of a surprise for me, but you can all think, well, if this passes, you can thank my wife, because she got me over the finish line.
I have Director Nicholson next.
Thank you. This isn't ideal by any means. You know, the state should probably have ponied up actual funding for FRPR in this year's budget to pay for exactly this kind of stuff, but the state's broke. And so, as usual, it falls to RTD to be the whipping boy for whatever the difficult thing is of that particular era. For me, this comes down to one really simple thing. I don't want the district to be on the hook for joint service in perpetuity. And I have already heard from council members in Broomfield and Westminster about how much they're excited to come to us in a year or 2 or 3 to get more money for 5 trains a day, 6 trains a day. Because, you know, if it's us in the state funding that thing, then of course we're the ones that they're going to feel are responsible for living up to the obligations of fast tracks. If FRPR passes, when, thank you, FRPR passes, they take on that responsibility. They become the entity that is providing that train service. And that is a massive load off the backs of RTD over the long term. I have a quick question for Ms. Mackey. How much money do we have in the FISA right now?
Thank you, CFO Mackey.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And forgive me, it's getting late. I need to look it up. So it says here that in the Fast Tracks internal savings account, there's $192 million.
Okay. The entire point of that savings account was to facilitate finishing Fast Tracks and building on the rail that we have not been able to build ourselves. This investment helps us do that. It is a bet to some degree. It's a bet on the fact that this will pass. The polling that they have puts it at 60% support as of the most recent numbers that they've seen. That is a good bet in my mind. That is a worthwhile investment, and this money would make that much more likely because it allows the voters to understand this stuff before they start actually doing the initiative campaigning in the fall. Again, not my favorite way of paying for it, absolutely not, but considering what it delivers exactly to Director Harwick's point, and considering the context of the $200 million that we have set aside for Fast Tracks related things, this $3 million seems like a perfectly reasonable investment to me. What I will say, I would like to offer an amendment, and we can do this after yours, to specifically direct that this comes out of the Fast Tracks. I do think that if we're going to do this, that is what that money is for, that is what it needs to come from, and that's the amendment I'm going to offer. So,
thank you, Director Nicholson. I have Director Banker, and then Director Ruscia is up for a second round. Keep in mind that we will have a comment on, hopefully brief comments on Amendment 2, but Director Banker, you're up.
Okay, thank you. I'll be brief. This is a very important project. It's generational. It's going to be here way past our time. And quite frankly, this is really our only shot. If for some reason this should fail, I'm assuming you'll be back in '28, and that's the year we want to go to the ballot to try to get our structural deficit fixed. So quite frankly, I don't want to be competing with Front Range Passenger Rail at that time, because then we'll both lose. And so you're going first, you're paving the way, you're starting the train, which will buy us a lot of goodwill when it's our turn to go to the taxpayer. So thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Director Banker. I'm going to go to Director Whitmore first on a first round, then we'll come back.
It's a monumental evening because both Busick and Whitmore agree with something Nicholson said.
It's true.
I do agree wholeheartedly that this is a FISA withdrawal. And I don't see any better use for FISA than the inline and this to advance it. So thank you, Director Nicholson, for bringing that forward. Is that doable, Ms. Mackey?
Yes, of course, and it's not as simple as that. So it can come from FISA. We would reduce cash by the amount needed. We would also reduce the FISA to show that the cash reduced came from FISA. And additionally, if the ballot measure is not successful, it would also come from non-operating expense. So it'd be on the income statement. And so I do recommend identifying which portion of the income statement budget that you've appropriated already would cover this expense. And again, my recommendation is the Operations Department operating expense budget.
So if I may, in essence, we have to do both.
Yeah.
I sense an amendment. Okay, Director Ruscia, you are up with a second round. Is it on this or on a specific amendments? Are you?
General question.
Okay.
Question
You're up.
for, yeah, I had a delayed thought, and then I have a question for council. So, Mr. Pace, at your April board meeting, your board approved funding for lobbying, branding firm, earned media consultant, polling firm, outreach coordinator, coalition building firm, technical planning, et cetera, plus or minus $1 million. Okay, but I understand that. What is confusing is when you said that that you also had RFPs out that you were ready to award contracts to. If we gave you a check. So what I'm trying to understand is is that what your board already approved? Or is these are new RFPs and then so that's one question. The second is, if these are new RFPs, new contracts, in addition to your already comprehensive plan, how could you put out those RFPs without an identified funding source? And then I guess my question after that is, I have a question for legal to see if we can even do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so let me just take notes here. So we need to stop communicating in August. And we issued RFPs with the potential of potentially receiving funding, and not that we were assuming that it's done, but simply so that if the funds come in, we don't have to wait another month to issue, because in August we're going to be quiet, and education's not going to be happening, planning's not going to be happening, coalition building's not going to be happening. And so simply as a fact of making sure we're prepared, we sent those out publicly. We have not signed any contracts. We haven't approved any contracts. We won't approve any contracts if we don't receive any additional funds. And, you know, we're we're prepared to do that. But we also wanted to be prepared so that we can move nimbly and quickly as well.
You had a legal question?
Yeah, so just, thank you, Mr. Pace. I do wish if you had contracts you wanted to execute, you would have sent them to the board so we could see them the same way we would if staff had a request of us, just like your board will see those details that we don't have.
Yeah.
You're asking us to pay for something your board can see. But with that, I have a question just for council. So recognizing that FRPRD did send over like an updated narrative with some more details in their proposed scope, I know it's just been a short time, Ms. Snyder, so I apologize, but I just have to ask, is there anything in here that is a potential legal concern? This is so far out of what the board has done, and I'm actually not sure if we can do this legally. Is that?
GC Snyder?
So thank you for the question, Director Rusha. I did provide advice to the Board of Directors in an email on Friday, May 22nd, and I'd like to stand on that advice and be able to maintain privilege. So I'm not going to answer that question in this forum.
Can I ask?
Yeah, you can ask a follow-up. Yeah.
So if any director of the board has questions about the thank you, Director John. I read the memo. I'm not, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure we can say yes to this based on the memo. And I also can't break privilege, so I guess we'll have to use our judgment. Is that what I'm hearing? And that's not to be, I'm trying to understand.
What I can say, if that's helpful, Director Rusha, is the motion that's on the table right now, not any amendment that's been offered, but the item that's in the board packet and the way that that motion is crafted wouldn't be in that packet if there were a legal concern.
Right. But this proposal, we don't know. Okay.
Okay, Director Nicholson.
Yeah, I actually had a question for one of the only people who hasn't spoken yet. GM CEO Johnson, what do you think of this? You've been involved in the joint service conversations for a long time. You've been, you're probably closer to this than most people. I haven't spoken to you about this at all. I'm taking a flyer here. I'm honestly asking, what do you think about us doing this?
GM CEO Johnson.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Secretary Nicholson, I believe this is a policy decision. For me to opine on what my personal thoughts are is irrelevant to the discussion at hand. I believe that you all have a fiduciary responsibility. I don't want to overstep what that is. I am not an elected official. I would say act in good faith, and with that, I'll yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's, we do have some amendments coming, so what I'd like to do is go back to the initial amendment, which is to drop the request from 5 million to 3 million, and the financial contribution that from FRPR to RTD would occur regardless of whether a ballot measure passes or fails. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Nicholson, second. Any discussion on this particular motion? There are other amendments coming on cost. Mr. Kroll?
Just to clarify, the second part of your motion was that a financial contribution from which party to which?
From FRPR to RTD would occur regardless of outcome of the ballot. Director Bouquet?
What financial contribution in regards to what potentially would be given out, the 3 million? Have we talked about interest?
I don't know if there's been interest contemplated on that. It's, I'm only talking about the actual principal contribution coming back.
If I have the floor, I would be in favor of supporting such amendment if we had specific interest that was discussed. If we are viewing this ultimately as an investment, which I think we are, I believe it would be more than appropriate to ask for a specific interest amount. But obviously, it's your amendment, Chair, so.
I think we could ask staff to work out an arrangement at market rate for a similar contribution, which is not a loan. So, Director Ruscia?
Thank you. I have a clarifying question. So we're not, so this is not going to be on a reimbursable basis? Is that what the amendment is?
No, it is reimbursable, it's just not a loan. It's a contribution to FRPR, and their contribution back to us would be commensurate with the amount.
Okay, so I guess what I'm asking is, like, are we saying this is going to be on a reimbursable basis, just like their IGA with CDOT and every other grant in the state under state law? So if they pay for a consultant, they send us the copy of the invoice and all that. That's what reimbursable basis is what
Yep.
got it.
Yes. Yes. Any other discussion on the amendment? Director Curie? Oh,
I'm sorry, but I'm confused between what is the amendment and what is the initial proposal. I'm sorry.
the original proposal contemplated a repayment only upon success, or a contribution back to RTD upon success of the FRPR. The FRPR organization has removed that and said it will be a contribution back to us in the amount that we contributed to them, plus interest, if whether or not the ballot is successful. Director Guchenritter, I think I've missed you a couple times.
Thank you, Chair O'Keefe. So some confusion here. I asked that specific question not long ago, that if we would be reimbursed were it not to pass on the ballot, and CEO Pace could not confidently answer that. And so, I mean, we can demand that we get paid regardless of the outcome, but the reality is that that's unclear. So
GM Pace has a response.
Okay.
And Director Guchenritter, what we could commit to is that we will pay that as we are capable of paying it. We are a party to joint service, and there will be revenue at some point. I think there's a potential, but I can't make that commitment here today by myself.
Director Benkers first, then Director Nicholson.
Okay, Mr. Pace, I'd like to ask you, is this amendment workable for you, or do we go back to the original
No,
motion?
yeah, we accept the amendment. We think it's
Okay, thank
a
you.
fine amendment. Thank you.
Director Larson?
Yeah, I just want to say that in the event that somehow we were not repaid, and sometime, I guess, in 2030, when this service is projected to come online, if the board and I guess the management at that time wanted to recoup the money, we could just delay in any given fiscal year when we start the service until until we've sort of paid ourselves back at whatever level we felt was the correct level, possibly with interest. So I mean, I think ultimately we do have, as long as we are, and this is something that, by the way, if it fails to pass in November, before this is final, we will have a vote in December, which will have the 90% costs. So at that point in time, we could even then sort of put this in as a requirement that would protect us in the long run from this not getting paid back.
Thought you were going to propose a Denver boot on Cocoa. Director.
If that's the way it has to go.
Director Nicholson.
I can't even make a joke off that one.
Can't top it.
No. I don't think the question, as far as I understand it, the question here is not would FRP or the entity be obligated to pay us back? It's from where would you get the money? in that circumstance. And so I think the way to think about it from, I mean, FRPR has over the last few years gotten money from the state on a regular basis for the last X number of years. And before it was you, it was, I forget his name. If this doesn't pass, you're gonna wanna go again in 28 or 30. You're gonna go back to the state. You're gonna go back to other people. So I guess here's my question for you. You want this money badly. Will you commit, and maybe I have to offer this as an amendment, to a first dollar reimbursement after November? I.e., you get another dime from the state of Colorado or anybody else comes to us first, and then will you go to the state and say, oops, we owe them the money. Can I please have $3 million in a fiscal note or from someone else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I need to offer that, this is a question for Melanie, do I need to offer that as an amendment, or can we just say that is going to be part of the IGA that you guys negotiate so that it's a first dollar repayment?
General Counsel Snyder.
You know, my recommendation would be that the board, if the board is looking to pass this matter, to agree to some high-level terms, including the dollar amount, and let the negotiators work through that. One option could also be that the parties, we could include a clause in the IGA that would have the parties agreeing after the ballot to engage in conversations about whether there would be any contribution from FRPR, obviously subject to the FRPR board's appropriation and approval. It might be too much to try to do that here.
So I think we leave it alone from that perspective. Can I, let's finish the discussion.
Director Guzman.
Director Larson, I love you, and I think it was funny, but also when we're in a contract with somebody that requires us to participate, we really can't flout the payment. Just pointing that out, like retaining that money and not paying into it would actually put us in a further liability. So again, I want to go back to our fiduciary duties, which doesn't mean just counting pennies. It means we have to take care of our TD and avoid liability here. This whole thing is fraught, and I urge you to get to the vote, but we should probably vote no and move on with the night. We have more business to deal with.
Thank you. Director Rashid.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a clarification or just to point out here what we said before about doing this on a reimbursement basis, whereby FRPR would spend funds, send us a copy of the receipts, then we reimburse them, is not what Mr. Pace has just agreed to. He agreed to, if we have money later, we will try to pay you back. So I just need to understand what amendment is before us. Is it the chair's version, or is it the district's version, so that I know what I'm voting on, please? Thank you.
Mr. Pace, and then I'm going to go ahead and vote.
Yeah, I think those are two different topics, because when we're receiving money as a reimbursement, that is the first time we're receiving it from you. It's not reimbursing your district. But later on, when the FRPR district pays RTD, that would be our first time paying your district.
Thank you. Okay, this is just on the amendment in front of us. Go out on a limb and say we want a roll call vote. Director Arcuri?
Could you please repeat it again?
So this is an amendment that drops the financial contribution from 5 to 3 million, and subject to specific language being worked out with council, it would make the contribution back that is equal to our contribution plus interest, regardless of whether we are owed that contribution back, regardless of whether or not the ballot question passes. Okay, Director Arcuri?
Yes.
Director Banker?
Yes.
Director Bouquet?
No.
Director Busick?
No.
Director Chandler?
I'm voting yes because it's less than 5.
Director Geisinger is not here. Director Guchenritter?
Yes.
Director Guzman?
You'll get my yes on the amendment.
Yes on amendment? Okay. Director Harwick,
Yeah.
Director Larson,
Yes.
Director Nicholson,
Yes.
Director Palieri,
Yes.
Director Rusha, Director Whitmore,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so that is 2 noes and 12 yeses. The amendment passes. I believe there are other amendments coming forward by Director Rusha. Oh, Director Nicholson, do you have a comment on that? Okay, she's up, then you. Director Rusha? You can, I think it would be easier if you started with the financial contribution amendment first, and then the 2 or 3 topics that are, probably could be grouped together, that are administrative requirements, like chair approval, and then this ADA compliance is probably its own, I think. Maybe that's, if you can group that in, that would be great. So we have 2 votes, one on the amount and the other on the 3 or 4 administrative requirements that would be inputted in this agreement. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
So would you mind if we did the amount, the chair sign off, and the scope?
Yeah, you
Those,
can do
like,
that.
That 3, okay.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
So your first amendment is financial.
Do you mind if I just do the chair one first?
Oh, yeah, sorry, you said you wanted to do that first. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So I move to amend that we replace the language that says general manager and CEO or her designee, and replace with the chair and the general manager and CEO or her designee.
Okay, is there a second?
I will second that.
Second from Guzman. Any further discussion on the amendment? Pretty explanatory. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to know, I did discuss this with Mr. Pace, and he was agreeable. Just head nod, still good? Okay, yeah. This basically just ensures that our chair is still at the table as the details are getting worked out. Since we don't have the details, it's a little bit cart before the iron horse. And there's precedent for that.
Thank you. Any other quick comments on that? We okay? Is there sorry, Director Curie? Yeah, sure.
Thank you. General Counsel Schneider, please. Is it okay to have a chair participate in an IGA?
The way I'm understanding the amendment, Director Arcuri, it's just to make the chair and the GM CEO signatories to the IGA, which would be okay.
Thank you. Any other questions, clarifications on this? Okay, is there anybody opposed to this? Okay, I'm seeing none, so that amendment will be adopted unanimously, and now we are on to the financial amendment.
Thanks. Just want to start on a positive note.
Depends on who you are.
All right. So the second amendment is to replace for an amount not to exceed, well, now it's 3 million.
3 million.
To reduce that to $1 million.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Guzman, second for a 3 million to 1 million drop. Any comments on this? Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb, say we're going to vote on this one. And I am going to count backwards and give Director Arcuri a break from being first out of the gate. Director Whitmore.
No.
Director Rusha. Yep.
Oh, yes.
Director Palieri.
No.
I am a no. Director Nicholson.
No.
Director Larson.
No.
Director Harwick.
No.
Director Guzman.
I'll be a yes.
Okay, Director Guchenritter.
Yes.
Director Chandler.
Yes, because it's less than 3.
You just keep going, you're going to win. Director Busick.
Yes.
Director Bouquet.
No.
Director Banker.
No.
Director Arcuri.
No.
Okay, there you go. I have 5 yeses and 7 noes, no, I'm sorry, 8 noes. 5, no, 9 noes, sorry, my math is escaping me. That amendment fails. Director Rushi, your final amendment, this will take a little bit more explanation for everybody.
Thanks. Mr. Chair, do you want me to read it in full, or do we refer to the document in front of us?
I would prefer you read it in full with just your summarized points. I think that's good enough. These are, so it's all together, it's one amendment with 3 topics? Is that right?
Yes, but I'm sorry, you want me to, I'm happy to read it in full. I
Yep,
just want to make
you
sure. Okay,
can.
all right, word for word, no problem. Okay, so we would add, after the amount not to exceed 3 million per this amendment, add the language limited to reimbursement of station area planning expenses at RTD station locations only, excluding any work already approved by the FRPR Board of Directors or funded whole or in part by any other source. Eligible expenses are limited to engineering and technical feasibility studies at RTD station locations, ADA compliance and accessibility planning, Title VI and environmental justice analysis, multilingual and disability accessible public outreach, and multimodal connectivity planning that directly integrates FRPRD service with RTD stations, facilities, and networks.
Do I have a second? Oh, sorry.
There was more, but
I thought you were done. I was reading along.
did my homework. May I, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair?
please go.
All reimbursable work must be completed prior to the submission of any ballot measure language to the Colorado Secretary of State. Expenditures for activities intended to generate public support for a ballot measure, including branding, marketing, grassroots organizing, coalition building, polling, governmental affairs, public affairs, and lobbying, are not eligible for reimbursement. Communications and outreach are permitted only where directly necessary to conduct eligible planning activities, including engagement with equity populations, persons with disabilities, and limited English proficient communities. The parties are encouraged to include demonstrated lived experience serving populations within RTD service area as an evaluation criteria to any procurement conducted under this agreement. No post-ballot bridge funding is authorized. And I can explain that.
Yeah, so is there a second?
Oh,
I'll second.
Second, Guzman. Okay, yeah, if you can give a brief explanation, then I know that'll help.
thank you. So basically what this does is just ensures that the scope of deliverables is more meaningfully tied to our strategic plan. It is in alignment with our fiscal policy and ensures no double dipping and that we don't cross over into electioneering activity. Reduces our risk, essentially.
Thank you. Any commentary on this amendment? Anybody online? You've disappeared from me again. If you have a comment, you have to speak up.
Maybe Sal?
What's that?
Sal?
Yeah, I'm just making sure. GM Pace.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We would hope that this does not pass. We really hope to be able to do extensive education and coalition building, including with BIPOC communities, for instance, and disability community and others. And so we would prefer this not to pass.
Okay, GM Pace. Director Rusha. I think you had
Yep, I could be mistaken, but I do believe that the scope, so it does have emphasis on equity populations. It's not limited to that though, right? There's a much longer list, including general station development, which is what I believe you had requested, but it's my understanding based on the rudimentary, like based on reviewing what CDOT outlined, that we're tracking with the same rules CDOT put forth. That's all. Thanks.
Okay, any other commentary on the amendment? Director Chandler.
I just think that we're making this so complicated. Whether we want to, just let your yes be yes or your no be no. I agree. We're putting, FRPR through so much restriction that it's either vote yes or vote no. Don't continue restrictions and have debate, and a discussion, especially as something that they don't agree with. So, I'm going to vote no, but I just want to encourage us to stop putting so much emphasis on this. It's either a yes or it's a no.
Thank you, Director Chandler. Any other commentary? Okay, We'll vote on this one, recorded too. Director Arcuri,
No.
Director Banker,
No.
Director Bouquet,
Yes.
Director Busick,
Yes.
Director Chandler,
I'm going to vote yes because it's restrictive, but I really do want to say, no, really, seriously, we are killing them. So either let it be yes or let it be no. I'm going to vote yes because, hey, it's another restriction.
Director Guchenritter,
Yes.
Director Guzman,
Yes.
Director Harwick,
No.
Director Larson,
No.
Director Nicholson,
No.
I'm a no. Director Pagliari,
No.
Director Rusha. Yes. Go out on a limb. Director Whitmore.
No.
Okay, got eight noes and 6 yeses, and so the motion fails. Is that, we've covered all your amendments? Director Nicholson has one, I think. I think we're good. Okay. Director Nicholson?
Yes, and I think either CFO Mackey or GC Snyder will need to help me word this properly, but I would amend the item and to basically to just say that these funds will be allocated from the FISA reserve and in the 2026 budget from the operating budget because we are favorable this year in operating. Did I get that right? Okay, good. You want to clarify? Okay.
Should have had you at the table tonight.
I would say from the operations department, operating expense budget.
There we go.
Would you restate the amendment just briefly?
Yes. So that the money will come, the $3 million will come from the FISA reserve account and be allocated as an expense should the ballot measure not pass in the 2026 operating budget. Sorry. No, sorry. She's going to give it to me.
From the 2026 operations department, operating expense budget.
Thank you. What she said.
So just to clarify, the motion has 2 things. At first, the budget allocation comes out of the FISA budget, and it will be funded out of the operating department. Is that close?
Second.
The Nicholson is a motion and Whitmore is a second. Any discussion on this or questions?
Can I just?
Probably? Yeah.
Actually, no, never mind.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Director Rusha?
I just have a question. This wasn't clear. Did you say that it comes out of the FISA pending a successful ballot measure or irrespective of?
It comes off the budget reserve so it would be a reduction in the FISA account and then funded with cash out of the operating department, is how I heard it.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Operations department.
Is that you said, okay,
Yeah.
that
Yep.
whatever happens in November doesn't matter. Still coming out of FISA.
Okay.
Got it.
Any discussion? Director Guzman?
This is going to be a question for Madam CFO Mackey. With respect to the operations department, operations expense budget, what are we cutting? What's the trade-off here? Because we're now in the place of allocation, so if we have to report this expense out of this year's budget in this way, what are we losing? How many full-time employees is this going to impact? What's an equitable number here of what we will lose? What contracts are we not going to move forward with? What operational expenses from that budget will be affected?
Yes, so I don't have the answer to that now. We still have 10 months in the year to determine what that would be, so that is a lot of time, and we can monitor to see how expenses trend. I would just keep in mind that, for example, off the top of my head, I believe the average all-in employee compensation is about $110,000, so you can do the math on what that would be. If it was that, for example, or it could be based on a contract.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to do my plug that I'm going to do every meeting until we fix it. This could have been resolved with advertisements being sold. We were short-sighted. and that could have handled this in one fell swoop without having to do any of this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Director Banker?
Oh.
Director Rush, are you?
Yeah, just a point of order. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, but I'm looking at the transcript. I did not mishear. The secretary said that this will come out of the 2026 operating budget should the ballot measure not pass. And I just need to know which one is it. Maybe, can we just restate
The
amendment, please?
The amendment is as written on the screen right there. These funds will be allocated from the FISA reserve and be funded from the 2026 Operations Department operating expense budget.
What does that mean?
Director Banker, did you have a question?
No, more of a statement. Since at the Finance Committee, we were, sorry, I'm getting tired here. We saved $42 million on operating. So quite frankly, it doesn't really matter which way we're going to take the money. Actually, I'm going to be a no vote on this. I'm going to leave FISA the way it is and take the $3 million from the surplus that we're already seeing in our operating budget. But quite frankly, it doesn't matter if it passes or if it doesn't, because we've already allocated the $3 million. Sorry if I'm not.
No, got it. So I'm going to move us to a vote. We have a cart break coming. I would really love to get this final vote done. We also have a lot of agenda left here too. Even this is very important, but this is on the Nicholson FISA amendment, we'll call it. Director Akiri,
Yes.
Director Banker,
No.
Director Bouquet,
Yes.
Director Busick,
No.
Director Chandler,
Yes.
Director Guchenritter,
Yes.
Director Guzman,
Yes.
Director Harwick.
Yep.
Director Larson,
Yes.
Director Nicholson.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Director Pagliari,
Yes.
Director Rusha. Director Whitmore.
Yes.
Okay, that's 12 yeses, 2 noes. That passes. Director Pagliari,
May I call the question?
you can if we have to take a vote on that, but sure.
I don't think you need to.
Yeah, I think we're going.
We're done. We're done.
I withdraw that.
Keep the thread on the tip of your tongue. Director Guzman? Okay, all right. All right. So, Mr. Kroll, do you want to summarize the amendments that were passed just very quickly? That would be the changes. Thanks.
All right, so you have the reduction in the commitment from 5 million to 3 million. Financial contribution from FRPR plus interest to RTD would occur regardless of the outcome of the ballot. That amendment passed. Director Rusha had an amendment adopted unanimously that adds the chair to be a signatory on the IGA or whatever forthcoming agreement comes forward. Then you had 2 amendments that failed, and finally an amendment from Director Nicholson that indicated the funds would come from the FISA reserve and be funded from the 2026 Operations Department operating expense budget.
Okay, so we're going to vote on the main motion as amended as summarized by Executive Manager Kroll. Director Curie,
Yes.
Director Banker,
Yes.
Director Bouquet,
No.
Director Busick,
No.
Director Chandler,
No.
Director keep doing it. Director Guchenritter,
No.
Director Guzman,
No.
Director Harwick,
Yes.
Director Larson,
Yes.
Director Nicholson,
Yes.
Director Pagliari,
Yes.
Director Rusha, Director Whitmore,
Yes.
and I am a yes. That passes with 6 noes and 8 yeses. 8 yeses, 6 noes, stated the right way. The main motion is passed. Okay, we are going to.
Thank you guys very much.
We are going to recess for a cart break, Jack.
Yes.
Okay, 10 minutes, we're back. Thank you for that. That was more yeses than I thought there were.
What'd you say?
Yep.
I am an okay, I think everybody did their part and it got to.
You're never getting that money.
Well, I like your idea about it. Pull the brake on the old Coqueville train.
I mean, it wouldn't be this board that would make the decision, but if we still wanted it back. I mean, really what we could do though, is we could actually lock it in. This year, with the final negotiation, assuming this all comes in, assuming we approve it. In truth, we could say, what that didn't pass. Now, if we do that, we're still gonna have just right? So we could basically say, oh, give them this money back by that time. There's $3 million in service that happens, we paid for by somebody else. We could do that, no problem with that.
I don't know. I
But I mean, it's really, for me, the big issue is how depends on favorability of our budget. We actually have to make that. I knew for sure we had to. Yeah, I just think
Chris, good to see you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh? With you and, it'll be good though. You got the golden. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, no, I can tell. I can tell. Where are you going in Douglas County? Okay. Okay. Let's see, you stop around the ranch? Sure. Yeah, yeah. How are you guys feeling for November? Good. That's the other. It's all right with my constituents, I'll tell you that. So they like I-25. They're car people, so. Yeah. Don't want the cocoa. Don't want the cocoa. We'll see. It'll be we'll see how that goes. Yeah, no, thank you for being here. Yeah, thank you.
I just still feel like it's going to get us in trouble. I said I think it just kind of feels like it's still going to get us in trouble.
Yeah, you just lost $1 million.
Yep.
I was like, there we go.
I'd like to make an amendment. I can't be fired because of that $3 million.
Everyone knows where I vote. I don't know, are we broke or not?
Is Schrodinger while you vote on something about right there?
I know, exactly. I was with you.
Yeah, I was ready for it. I was over here like, come on. Hopefully we get sued over it and it doesn't happen. I'll be a co-petitioner. I will do so much outreach, I promise. It's information. I'm just saying the website's pretty expensive.
With the cocoa powder, you can't get rid of it. When you name the pet, you can't get rid of it.
Well, we made it a long time ago. I know, okay, so this is what I
Just forget all the rest of that. I wish you were more boring.
Are you not entertained?
I mean,
Are you not entertained?
I am. I wish I wasn't. I miss the days of politics being boring.
See, we need to start betting. We need to start making some betting odds.
Did they? Wait, hold on. We need to partner with, we got Diversified budget. Legalize gambling. So what do we- I am keeping the critical IT infrastructure of RTD operational. The words are long enough? Yeah. If I wasn't back here doing this incredibly important business, it would all just fall apart in any punch.
Yeah, it's that time again.
Does it have to be?
Yeah, we're ready whenever you are.
I know I did.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming back from the break. We'll try to move this along. I know it's been a long night for everyone.
Just for the next couple months. Yeah.
The second action item for tonight involves another external entity, so we're doing this a little bit out of order. It's support for the City and County of Denver ordinance for revised nightclub regulations. For the board to take action to support the position on the proposal to Denver City Council to amend chapters 6, 7, and 32 of the Denver Revised Municipal Code. This is carried by Director Nicholson, and we have a guest from the City and County of Denver, Abby Soyson. We'll let Secretary Nicholson introduce the topic, and you have to make the motion. Let's do this the right way. Why don't you introduce it, and you make your motion, get a second, then we can talk about it.
Thank you. Yes. I'll just make the motion first, basically.
Yep.
Yes. So for the Board of Directors, so I'm so moved for the Board of Directors to take a support position on the proposal to Denver City Council to amend chapters 6, 7, and 32 of the Denver Revised Municipal Code. So I appreciate you all.
Got to get a second on it. Do I have a second on the Nicholson motion?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Director Buquet is the second. Go ahead and introduce the topic, please.
Thank you very much. So this item is coming before City Council in June to committee. And what this will do, in short, is update and modernize the framework for the entertainment licenses in the city, specifically targeting bars and other establishments that stay open late. And along with some additional regulation of those entities, it'll extend the ability for them to stay open without serving alcohol from 2 to 4 a.m. The reason that this is being brought forward here is because there is a substantial amount, especially, so I represent central Denver and the upper half of downtown. And there is a substantial amount of these types of businesses in my district on the 15 and in upper downtown. And patrons very regularly will get out at 2 a.m. when we don't run service. And so for us, this is an opportunity to support an initiative that will give patrons a place to go, to stay, until we do start running service a little bit later in the morning, closer to 4 a.m. And I'll have Mr. Kroll get into those numbers. But first, I'd like to pass it off to Abby from Excise and Licensing, or whatever we're calling it these days.
Abby, the floor is yours. If you can do a better job at introducing yourself than I did, that'd be great.
All right, thank you, and good evening, everybody. My name is Abby Soyson. I'm a senior policy analyst with Denver's Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection. We were formerly known as the Department of Excise and Licenses, and we do issue business licenses for all sorts of different licenses for the city of Denver. I have just a very brief set of slides for you all just to kind of go over this proposal at a high level. I know you all have been here for a while, so I will keep it quick. As Director Nicholson sort of explained, we are bringing forward a proposal to Denver City Council on June 23rd and this is an entertainment licensing overhaul. It's a whole omnibus bill that will overhaul our current cabaret and amusement licensing codes and streamline them. And part of that proposal does involve allowing some types of licenses to continue offering entertainment until 4 a.m. So our objectives with this proposal are twofold. First, we want to take steps to improve safety in Denver's nightlife economy. Our current cabaret code really doesn't contain much in the way of safety and security requirements for cabaret licensees, for businesses that offer entertainment and serve alcohol. And then we also want to reduce overregulation of certain types of low impact entertainment. And so taken together, we hope that this will achieve a Denver entertainment and nightlife scene that is vibrant, safe, and thriving. At a high level, we are taking 14 different license types in Chapter 6 and 7 of the Denver Revised Municipal Code. That encompasses 6 types of cabaret licenses, as well as a variety of amusement licenses, social room and dance hall licenses, and collapses them all into one entertainment licensing category. And within that entertainment licensing category, we plan to have 3 different types of licenses. So first is the limited entertainment license. This is for businesses that offer live entertainment before or up until midnight. The nightlife entertainment license, which is for businesses that offer entertainment past midnight, and then they can offer that entertainment up until 4 a.m. And then the adult entertainment license, that's a very specific category of license for businesses that offer adult entertainment, and they can also do so until 4 a.m. The primary differentiator, aside from the time that they're offering entertainment between the limited and nightlife entertainment licenses, will be that the nightlife entertainment licenses also have to comply with heightened security requirements. So they'll be required to adopt and adhere to a security plan that's approved by the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection. Weapons will be prohibited at those premises, and they'll have to take some responsibility for aiding in orderly dispersal of patrons at closing time. So one of the key features of this ordinance, and probably the most discussed feature of this ordinance, is that nightlife entertainment businesses would be able to continue offering entertainment until 4 a.m. So currently, the cabaret code requires that businesses stop offering entertainment when alcohol service stops at 2 a.m. Under this proposal, nightlife and adult entertainment businesses can continue to offer entertainment between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., but alcohol service and consumption would still be required to stop at 2 a.m., and that's pursuant to state law. So, there's a few impacts we anticipate here. First, we are going to allow businesses to satisfy what we hear as a demand for late night entertainment options after alcohol service stops. Give patrons some places to socialize and enjoy themselves after alcohol service ends, and while they're sobering up, maybe enjoying some food or mocktails, and give them some time to wait for transportation. And then, the primary goal is to help stagger the flow of patrons leaving nightlife businesses so that we can reduce some of those violent incidents that happen when crowds are pouring out of bars between the times of 1:30 and 2 a.m., between sort of last call at 1:30 and then that 2 a.m. cutoff for alcohol service. And then, excuse my dog, sorry. Next steps for this ordinance, we are still taking feedback, and then on June 23rd, we will present this ordinance to City Council's Finance and Business Committee. Spoken and written testimony are accepted at that meeting, and then it will make its way through the council process and hopefully pass. And then we would do some implementation work in the latter half of the year, and then April 1st of 2027, the ordinance would take effect, and that's when that 4 a.m. allowance for nightlife businesses would become effective. So timing it so that it becomes effective sort of ahead of the summer months next year and give businesses some time to prepare. So that's the high level I'm happy to answer any questions about the proposal.
Thank you. Secretary Nicholson?
Yeah, so I'll just very briefly, if I can pass it to Mr. Kroll, I know that we have some numbers on the utilization, sorry, the service that we run within Denver between those hours of 2 and like 4:30. Can you speak a little bit to what data we have for that?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, and this is pulled from current run boards, so future, schedules are to be determined. But you have primarily additional service on the A line and the 15 between 3 and 3:30. You have additional service then also on the D, E, G, and W between 4 and 5 a.m. and on the 0 as well. And then if you include the 16 just after 5 a.m., and that's on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings. And then if you include weekdays, the same list applies, and you would add the 43 and the 30. And so what I'm trying to articulate here is that there is additional service that becomes more readily available, or patrons would have to wait less time for service if the nightlife entity closed at 4 a.m. as opposed to 2 a.m. And all of those routes would have additional service in those hours.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Mr. Kroll. So that, I think, explains the reason that I would like us to take a support position on this. I believe that it'll be good for our patrons to be able to have a safe place to stay until they can get home. Having been in this situation myself a few times when going out to clubs on Colfax. So if any of you have any questions or anything like that, obviously, please chime in.
Any discussion on the main motion? Director Guzman.
Ms. Swanson, thank you so much for joining us. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. The first time this will be introduced to council will be June 23rd?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, where is the resolution language that we would use to communicate this?
Secretary Nicholson, is it in the?
So there's not resolution language specific to communicate this. When we discussed this at executive, the idea was essentially that staff would have the ability to draft a letter indicating our support, but that it wasn't necessary for us to pass a formal resolution, expressing, et cetera, a bunch of whereases, and that, it wasn't necessary for what we're trying to do here to do that. Am I stating that correctly, Mr. Kroll, as to our discussion from executive?
If I may, Chair O'Keefe, the board has often taken positions on pieces of legislation, and those are, once the board takes those positions on legislation, whether it's SB 150 from this year or previous years' legislative cycles, the board has taken positions. Those positions are communicated through the Government Relations Office to the appropriate legislative bodies considering that legislation.
In this case, it's not a very complicated communication. It is literally, we support ordinance, blah, 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 and in those sections, correct? Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chair, if I
Director
may.
Guzman, yeah.
Given that this hasn't come up before the City Council, it's likely to pass anyway, that it has no legitimate tie to RTD service and potentially sets us up for the discussion that would be logical, which is why aren't you running bus service from 2 to 4 a.m., 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., any given night of the week, but particularly on the weekends and potentially Sunday night into Monday. I think we need to be very careful about how we proceed with this. As individual directors, we can submit our written or go speak to Denver City Council at any point in time and give our opinion as individuals. I don't know that this board is the right body to opine on a municipal action like this. Further, this is obviously the capital city. There's a lot of nightlife here. I appreciate all the aspects of this, but what happens when this happens in other areas where we do not have service that runs as often and as frequent. And with what is available now, even if this goes through the city council process and passes, which it most likely will from my understanding, they've not had any discussion on it. And typically in the first meeting of an agenda item like this, there's a lot more information that comes forward that's not readily available at this point. And that's notwithstanding that City and County of Denver staff has done an excellent job in preparing their materials. However, I think this is a bit ahead of the skis, and I don't want to get caught on an edge and fall over the wrong way. Looking out for where we're at, some of the information that we should consider is that on the 7th of June, we will no longer have the D line running. It's going to be the T and the C. If operations folks remember, we voted or will to make these changes for the Downtown Rail Reconstruction Project. And so some of that information, and thank you, Mr. Kroll, for caveating this, pending our decisions here, may be irrelevant to the conversation that we're about to have, because we are too close to a tri-annual service change as it is. And if this is going to become effective in July, it just might not make any sense for us to take an opinion on this. But I would encourage the directors who brought this forward, and I will probably give my written statement as well to the City and County of Denver, to please make their comments through that channel. Just don't think we need to be doing this.
Thank you, Director Guzman. Any other discussion? Director Pagliari?
Thank you. I want to say thank you, Chair. This is Director Pagliari. Thank you, Chris, for bringing this forward, and thank you, Abby. I think this is great for a lot of reasons, and I think that ultimately the benefits outweigh the negatives. And I do have a question about the negatives for Ms. Abby. How does the city anticipate this will affect DUI and other types of intoxicated driving? I have seen some reports that suggest perhaps this change would increase the instances of inebriated driving. And I think that's why keeping people in the bars until 4 a.m. is a great idea, because then they can take transit that starts after 4 a.m. When there is no service available during that 2 to 4 a.m. stretch. But I'm curious if you could maybe briefly speak on that, if you can.
Ms. Soisan, you can answer the question.
Sure. Our hope is that it would decrease instances of intoxicated driving, especially because alcohol service and consumption still has to stop at 2 a.m. And then there's that 2-hour window where businesses could still be offering entertainment and providing space for people to hang out rather than immediately leaving, and then they go out and they can't find an Uber or a Lyft or whatever it may be, and then they try and get home by driving. So that's our hope. Other cities have our neighbors in Glendale have a common consumption area where they allow bars to stay open until 4 a.m. And, they've said that they've seen even that helps just stagger people leaving the bars and gives people a little bit more time to sober up before they head home. So that's our hope, that it would help reduce impaired driving.
Thank you. Director Ruscia?
Apologize if I missed this, but can Denver change its revised municipal code right now under current statute, or is this allowable under state laws? Is this a two-step process? Can you speak to that, please? That was one question.
I'm sorry, who are you asking? Ms. Soisan or? Okay, yeah, if you could answer that, that'd be great.
Sorry.
Sure. So this does not require a change to state law. If we were to propose that liquor service hours be extended to 4 a.m., that would require a change to state law. But allowing the businesses to continue offering entertainment until 4 a.m., past that 2 a.m. last call, that only requires a change to local law.
Thank you. Further question?
Just a comment?
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you for that. That makes sense. To the secretary who brought this before us, I appreciate this. We do have board policy and board operating guidelines that ask us to go through a committee process first for discussion before a vote. We skipped that. And did you do this last month?
Went to executive committee.
Oh, it did last month?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I don't mind if, I don't mind this policy, like as a Denverite. I think this is outside of our scope. That being said, if you were going to present this, I think the best case you could have made is that this is actually Vision Zero adjacent because of the traffic considerations and drunk driving considerations. I think when we try to draw a link to some patrons at some bars who might want to take our services late at night, the link is very weak. But as a Vision Zero adjacent proposal, I'm okay supporting it, and I'm just gonna pretend like that's what you pitched.
Thank you, Director Risha. Any other quick response?
I would just say that Director Rusha absolutely beat me to the punch, and that was exactly what I was about to say after this. So thank you for getting there ahead of me, and you're absolutely right. It will meaningfully reduce DUIs and dangerous vehicle traffic hitting pedestrians, and yeah, there's a huge benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Rusha. Any other quick comments? Okay, hearing none, we're going to vote on the Nicholson main motion. It is Director Curie,
Yes.
Director Benker,
Yes.
Director Bouquet,
Yes.
Director Busick. Come back if he comes back on. Director Chandler.
Well, okay, so I'm going to vote yes, but it's because it's a deregulation, right? These businesses, right? These businesses can stay open if they want to, but I'm telling you, guys, I agree with Director Guzman. This is going to open up a can of worms, so I'll vote yes.
Director Gutschenritter.
Yes.
Okay, Director Guzman.
As a fully in Denver director, I have to vote no on this. I think it's beyond our purview.
Director Harwick.
Yes.
Director Larson.
Yes.
Director Nicholson.
Yes.
Director Pagliari.
Yes.
Director Rusha.
Wholly in support of this Vision Zero initiative.
Director Whitmore.
In the name of Vision Zero, yes.
And I'll be a trio on that. I'm in the name of Vision Zero. Let me yes. Director Busick, just one last check to see if you're back online. Okay, so that passes with 13 yeses, 1 no, and 2 absent. Very quickly.
I just wanted to make a point, Mr. Kroll, to make sure we mention Vision Zero in our message to the members of the City Council.
And thank you, Ms. Soisen, for joining and staying with us on this. I'm sure it is not a promotional video for joining the RTD board someday, but maybe you will. All right, so we are on to the committee reports. All right, let's go. Audit committee report. Chairman Guzman, do you have anything you'd like to go over?
Only that the next audit committee meets 6/11/26 at 2 p.m. We did not have a meeting this month.
Thank you. I would really urge people to try to make time for this committee. It's not the most convenient timing, but it is a very important committee. It should be growing in influence, so that's my pitch. Finance and Planning Committee report, Chair Benker.
Okay, where we met May 12th. As you can see, we've got a number of items on the consent agenda. One is for a contract as needed engineering design over a 5-year period. It's only going, the dollars will only be spent if our staff decides they need to contact outside engineers. We have the boundary map, which we're going to be voting on. The big one, of course, is the 47 Colfax bus purchases, which, by the way, they're all diesel, 67 million. Keep in mind, we will not be replacing them until the year 2042. So much for clean air. 4, the last item, budget update. We just had information from January and February. And as we've mentioned previously now, we have underspent our budget by 42 million, which is a very good thing. We're going to talk about the 5-year plan in July, and we also had information on the transit asset management plan for the next 10 years. So Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Banker. Chair Harwick, OSS Committee Report.
The OSS committee met on Wednesday, May 13th. We worked on the comprehensive operational analysis. We got a review of the ongoing analysis regarding long-range transit operations and corridor planning. We got an update on the partnership program, the status and implementation of current transit partnership programs. We got an update on the 2026 Q1 paratransit program. And we also got an update on the downtown rail reconstruction. Our next meeting is Wednesday, June 10th at 5:30 p.m.
Would you just entertain a small report on the ad hoc Burnham Yard redevelopment committee?
Yeah, sure. I don't have that in front of me, so it was about I don't know the date of it. That's all. I can give you the report of what we did.
Yeah, that's good enough.
I don't know the date. Last week.
Had 2 meetings thus far.
Yes, this is our second meeting. We took a tour of the Burnham Yard facility, and it was not Sasaki, it's the replacement, it's Gensler. Gensler gave us a tour of the facility, and so we learned about what the light rail facility will potentially look like, accurate crossings, that conversation.
Thank you. I think it's Tribe Architects, doesn't make a
They were part
difference.
of it as well.
And
They were both-
Gensler?
Jim
Okay.
Gensler and Tribal Work. Yeah, they're
Got it.
both there.
Got it. Thank you. Performance Committee Report, Chair Gutschenritter.
They're both helping.
Thank you, Chair O'Keefe. Performance Committee did not meet in the month of May, but there has been work going on related to the GM CEO executive search firm. Scope of work document has been drafted. It's currently in review with legal. Next up would be taking it to the Small Business Opportunity Office, SBO, and they'll take a look at it once we get their blessing. Then it should be headed on to procurement for posting, where it would be posted for 30 days. Conservatively, we are expecting to have a vendor onboarded by early August, hopefully a bit sooner, likely no sooner than mid-July though. We do have 2 meetings in the month of June. The next one up is scheduled for 6/1. In that, we'll review the customer and community survey results, and then we will also have a discussion around extending the current strategic plan. After that, our next meeting is June 22nd, and that will be the quarterly check-in on the performance of GM CEO Johnson. So just want to encourage the entire board to join that 22nd meeting if you can. And if you can't, please, any kudos you have or feedback for GM CEO Johnson, please be sure to share that with me and I can convey that in that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Gutschenritter. Yeah, I just want to second the plea for directors to hopefully we have a better showing at this quarterly review than we had the last one. It's really important. It's also important because other potential CEOs are watching us now, and I think having it engaged and board committed to feedback is really important. I also know it's hard to get there during that time, but that's my plea. Okay, so we are on to a bunch of minutes here. Let me go through them and look for a motion. If I could have a motion to approve the minutes of April 28 Board of Directors Special Board Meeting, April 28 Board of Directors Meeting, May 12th Finance and Planning Committee, May 13th Operations, Safety and Security Committee, and May 21st Executive Committee.
So moved.
Second.
I have Bouquet and Guzman. Any discussion? Seeing none. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, we'll take that as a unanimous vote. And the only thing I would say for Chair's report is I'm learning as I'm going with this budget process. There really is not a textbook for it. I'm looking for feedback if people would like to see something more different. We have a lot of substantive decisions in the next 4 weeks, but they're not set in stone. And so any feedback, I'm happy to take it on how we can improve. Engagement is really important for me, that you all have your voice in this, and hopefully you see that in the way that we go forward. General Manager report, GM CEO Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening once again, board members, and to all those assembled. Deborah Johnson, General Manager and CEO, providing a report, providing a report that basically covers initiatives and activities since the last regular scheduled board meeting on April 28th. As I've done at all meetings, I will be listing out elements of progress and activities that are in alignment with the 4 strategic priorities of the board-approved strategic plan related to community value. Friday, May 1st, marked the groundbreaking for the Aurora segment of the East Colfax Bus Rapid Transit segment as it relates to BRT, signifying the start of the end-to-end construction from Denver to Aurora. Work is now progressing across all 5 segments of the corridor, with major improvements underway at key station areas, including Havana Street and the R-Line connection. Once completed, Colfax BRT is expected to reduce travel times along that contiguous business corridor by up to 30 minutes while enhancing aspects of safety, reliability, and accessibility. Also, that's really important, factoring in regional partnerships. Continuing with that theme, during May 4th through the 8th, RTD participated along with our partners at the City and County of Denver in showcasing aspects of our city, and specifically to RTD, our transit system, to the organizers with the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, recognizing that Denver is a finalist to host the DNC in 2028. Basically, I personally went out to the airport and greeted members of the delegation and rode from Den all the way to downtown via the A-Line. Staff leaned in, provided tours of Denver Union Station. Additionally, we leveraged our concession air, being the Denver Transit partners. All in all, basically, the engagement that we had with the DNC went well. I can speak from the transportation vantage point, where the representatives were quite pleased with the ease of access to get to the downtown core. And from that vantage point, transportation hits the mark relative to what they were seeking. Quite naturally, there's a myriad of other components that go into making that decision about who will host the DNC in 2028. This was mentioned earlier, but I would be remiss not to state, considering that the board is aware, the agency is finalizing preparations for the June 7th service change, which includes rail and bus service adjustments designed to support commuters during the next phase of the multi-year downtown rail reconstruction project. And as a gentle reminder, we're introducing the temporary T line, hence T for temporary, along the southeast corridor, reinstating the C line. Think about that as construction. I'm coming up with these things because I'm tired. To maintain connectivity from Denver Union Station and Mineral Station, and extending the R line south to Ridgegate, and restoring higher frequencies on the B and G lines. Within the bus network, 12 routes will receive significant improvements to frequency, span of service, i.e. decrease in headways, supported in part by the $9.25 million grant award that we received from the Clean Transit Enterprise in reference to SB 230, with proceeds being supported by the oil and gas. Additional schedule refinements will be implemented across multiple routes to enhance on-time performance, and the agency will continue to monitor performance as we look at our tri-annual service changes. This month marks the launch of the new West Track shuttle, referencing the partnership program. Once again, it's a zero-fare seasonal service designed to make some of Jeffco's most popular outdoor destinations more accessible. The service began over the course of Memorial Day weekend. It operates Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, running every 15 minutes from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and that will sunset Labor Day, i.e. Monday, September 7th. It provides customers with a car-free connection between the W line and a series of high-demand recreational and cultural sites. Considering the nature of time, I will give a shout out to our bus maintenance team that competed in the American Public Transportation Association's bus rodeo, specifically as relates to RTD participants. Want to acknowledge the efforts that were put forward that took place May 15th through the 19th in Salt Lake City, whereby our team basically scored the highest in reference to GILIC's written test. GILIC is original equipment manufacturer that manufactures buses. They are headquartered out of Livermore, California in the Bay Area. And once again, we had other teams that partook in that competition. We had one team earn the highest score on the written maintenance exam and placed 10th overall in the maintenance team competition out of 49 teams. Up from one position from last year's 11th place finish. And want to say kudos to all of them. And with that, I'll yield the floor, Mr. Chair. Thank you very kindly for the opportunity to present.
Thank you. Are there any questions for GMCO Johnson? I just wanted to add, we talk a lot of negativity. The A-line is the cornerstone of our pitch when we go after world events, something we should be really proud of. That is, without caveat, without condition, it is a highlight of what people pitch about Denver bringing world events, and that's completely different from the last time they were here. So thank you for participating, and it's really fun to see that, and that's a very positive feather in everyone's cap. Thank you. So we are on a unanimous consent agenda, and I will ask for a second if anyone wants to take anything off. Just read it there. The design support consultant on-call contract awards, the boundary map update annexations, the 60-foot bus rapid transit bus procurement, and board of director collaboration tool use policy. Are there any of these items you'd like to have pulled? Oh, okay, all right. They are on unanimous consent. I'm sorry, Director Chandler.
I'd like to pull B from the consent agenda.
Okay.
Just for discussion purposes.
Yeah, that's good. Director Rusha.
Then letter.
Item C is now the collaboration tool. You want to pull? Yes. Okay. So those two are pulled off. So we are left with the design support consultant on-call contract awards and the bus rapid transit bus procurement. Those stand unanimous consent. They are passed. We are now, yep. Oh, I thought
So moved.
I'm on my 6th hour here. Bear with me. Motion was who? Pellieri or Whitmore? Okay. And a second? Richard, second. Okay. Any further discussion on the unanimous consent items? No discussion allowed. They're approved as recommended. Recommended actions, boundary map update, annexations, Director Chandler. Oh, let's have a motion on it first, then we can go.
So moved.
Guzman, Bouquet, Chandler.
Okay, sorry, I don't mean to lengthen the meeting tonight, but I did just want to kind of walk through what is happening specifically with my district, proposed District F, the addition of the First Creek Pond annexation. I asked the question, how did this happen? Why does this happen? Because I didn't know, you know? And so I have an explanation, but I would ask that the way it happened was anytime Aurora potentially adds an additional, annexes additional into the city of Aurora, then this becomes part of the RTD district, right, automatically. So there cannot be a vote yes or no on this. This just is an automatic thing. I would ask that we take a look and ask for next year through the state legislature to see if we can change the law regarding this, because this should not be an automatic opt-in. If you look at my particular map, and I know I'm being hyper-local on District F, but there is no reason that this place should be annexed into RTD District F. There's no reason. And so I would ask that we take a look at this, the statute, the legislation, and maybe potentially look at some sponsoring some legislation to fix this problem. Because I don't think by annexing this, there would be an expectation eventually these people would get service, and that will never happen. This is like so far east in my district. You guys, it's past E470, if you know where that is, E470 in Colfax. that's outside of my district currently, but it's ridiculous. So I would ask that we take a legislative look at this for next year. So that's just my pitch. I know we can't do anything about it this year, but I would just, yeah, that's my pitch. Thanks.
Thank you. I agree, Harley. I was shocked to learn that we get forced annexation. Any other discussion? Okay. Is there anybody opposed to this particular item?
You can't be opposed to it.
Yeah, right. I guess we'd vote out of spite. Okay, so that is unanimous. We are on to the Board of Director Collaboration Tool Use Policy. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Pallieri?
Second.
Nicholson? Director Rusha, floor is yours.
Thanks. So I just want to, I know this is what the language says, but I have to make sure this is your intent, Mr. Secretary. You're saying if we want to use this particular tool, because there are many that we could use that are in compliance with the law, then we just have to take a training for this specific tool. Is that's what this motion, that's what the proposal says. I want to make sure that's your intent. You're not limiting us to just one online tool.
Secretary Nicholson.
Yeah, so I mean, the goal here is, you know, staff has put together this tool as the option. I don't think this would limit the board from procuring a different one if it wanted to. So I mean, we certainly considered going out and buying other options, and then staff was like, we can just do this ourselves and it'll cost almost no money. But certainly, I don't believe, Mr. Kroll, is it fair to say that this does not prohibit the board from, from directors from considering alternatives?
If I
Mr.
may,
Kroll.
I'll just briefly speak to the intent here. Obviously, the board may use whatever technological tool it has. The intent of the training is mostly to impart the rules for using the tool, which is, i.e., no deleting of messages, no making of motions within the space, that the tool would be used to preserve a complete transcript of the record. That's the purpose of the training. There is some, hey, here's how you actually use the tool, but it's mostly, hey, here's what you can and cannot do with the tool that is important in that training.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, thanks.
Director Rusha.
Thank you. So when Director Guzman and First Vice Chair Harwick and I convened for those really important Vision Zero meetings over 8 months, we use Google Docs and we noticed them. It worked very well. We also had a very public Google folder. It's still up there, actually. That's what I was asking. Was your intent to limit? And it sounds like the answer is no. So I would offer, if you want to, I would just offer a friendly amendment that just says that directors are required to complete a training on how to use any collaboration tool. Does that make sense? Like Goose Gander.
Yep.
So that it's uniform. We're all
Okay.
getting the same information.
There is a motion on the table for an amendment. Is there a second?
It looks like Mr. Kroll raised his hand, so I would love to see what he has to say.
If it would please the board, I mean, I take that as a perfunctory clerical change that could be added to the policy, and no vote is necessary, if
Right.
that's
Okay.
fine.
All right, motion, the amendment is withdrawn. We're on the main motion. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Anybody opposed? And so that will pass unanimously. All right. There are, let's see, where am I here, Jack? Just a second. Other matters. Or I'm sorry, report of director activities. I skipped over that. Sorry. Any report on director activities? Director Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. District C lost a huge transit advocate who we have had my entire life and longer. This morning, Juanita Lopez, my grandmother, who taught me how to write RTD, and is the reason I sit and serve on this board, told me to make sure that I kept her buses running. So shout out to anybody who operates the 52 through the Baker neighborhood, because you made her day joyful and happy in the last moments of her life when you would pass by and, you know, sometimes honk the horn at traffic because of the roundabout there. And she was using services in the system at a time when people with our skin color were not welcome to be there. So when we do this work, I gently put forward to all of my colleagues now and in the future, remember that public transportation is public for everyone, and we should always look through that lens and strive to make sure that we are serving everybody, especially our elders, who have seen more life than we will ever understand and have forgotten more than we will ever learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Guzman. I wasn't going to say anything, but you brought it up. Certainly must have been an incredible woman to produce a grandson like you. Director Chandler, I see you, Director Gutschritter.
I had two activities this last month, State of Aurora Luncheon, which was really a fun event. Thank you for those that came from the staff, Lily Tran and Michael Davies came from the staff, and then I had full of constituents. So it was good to hear the state of Aurora. There is a lot of economic development and a lot of really good things happening in this city, as well as RTD is supporting the homeless shelter, the transition shelter up there on I-70, and there is a stop there, and the mayor made a big deal of the fact that RTD is supporting that shelter, so that's really exciting. And then I attended the Accelerate Colorado event out in DC, and that was equally good. Got to meet all of our delegation, got to collaborate a lot with the city of Aurora and the Arapahoe County, as well as RTD, or officials within Adams County and within other cities within Adams County. So that was also a very good event. If you have not been with Accelerate Colorado, I would highly recommend you go next year. It's a really good event, and it is good to see all of the other people that you affect. So those are my two reports.
Thank you. Director Gutschritter.
Thank you, Chair O'Keefe. While I did not get the keys to the city, I did get the big scissors to the bridge, to the ribbon cutting ceremony at the bridge. Englewood opened Oxford Avenue Bridge, which is connecting a series of apartments, probably close to, I would imagine, over 1,000 residents to the RTD station in Englewood. So that was very exciting, and a lot of excitement for people to have access readily to the station.
Thank you, Director Gutschritter. Director Nicholson.
So this is forward-looking. Next Tuesday, I am speaking at the Infra Day conference, which comes around once a year on a panel. And I went last year, and it was fantastic. And if any of you are interested, it's most of the day on the 2nd. I'm sure I can reach out to the organizer and get you guys in. I think we're going to have Shoshana Liu and Amy Ford and a couple of other people talking about transit and whatever. But no, I highly encourage you guys, if you can make it, to come. It's at Mile High Station here in Denver. So that's all.
Thank you, Director Nicholson. Director Arcuri.
Thank you. I had the joy this weekend of participating in the West Tracks first day of service up in the Morrison Red Rocks area. It was a lot of fun, and thank you to Director Guzman and one of his nieces who also came. Your only niece, your one and only niece, okay. This is through RTD's partnership program with Jefferson County Open Space, Denver City Council, Green Latinos, and probably others that I've now forgotten to mention. The shuttle is free. You can bring your dog. You can bring your bike. If you use a wheelchair, that works as well. These shuttles run every 15 minutes, and they stop at really some fun places. The Matthews Winters Park Trailhead, Dinosaur Ridge. Dinosaur Ridge has a brand new exhibit. It's like really, really cool. It's called Deep Time Tour. Goes up to Red Rocks Trading Post, downtown Morrison, and the Morrison Natural History of Museum. So it would be a fun day, and I hope that that relieves a lot of the parking problems and congestion there in the Morrison area. And yeah, now through Labor Day on weekends, 9 to 5.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Director Arcuri. Director Pagliari?
Thank you, Chair. I'll be quick. I was just in Minneapolis for the National Association of City Transportation Officials Designing Cities Conference, or NACTO, as they call it. I learned a lot. I highly recommend attending this conference. You really can't talk about public transportation without talking about city planning anymore. They're becoming more and more commingled. The energy was alive. I was mingling with people from New York City's Department of Transportation's, Honolulu's Transportation Department, Sound Transit people were there. A lot of people from the industry and cities we look up to. I also took place in a lot of walk talks, and I got to ride their light rail system. I got to see their TOD in their redevelopment, and I also got to ride their BRT. And so that brings up my other point, which is one thing that these transit professionals agreed upon at this conference was BRT requires 3 things: dedicated bus lanes, off-board payment and station improvements, and intersection priority, to really make it so the buses can just zoom through and offer more frequent service. So I will also be reaching out to directors, and Director Larson and I have created a letter to send to the Executive Director of Colorado Department of Transportation, or CDOT, Shoshana Liu, asking for CDOT to consider Alternative 3, which includes center running BRT in the most dense part of Colorado Boulevard. There are other alternatives proposed for Colorado Boulevard, which put buses in conflict with turning vehicles, with drive-throughs and other drive-through queues, because there's drive-throughs that have vehicles just parked on the side waiting to get in. And I think if you were interested, please reach out, but I'll reach out to you as well, to just say that as transit directors, we support a robust, better version of bus rapid transit to really be worth the investment brought to the community through Colorado BRT. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Anybody else? Okay, we'll close out to that report on directors. Any other matters at your own risk? Seeing none, okay. No other agenda items. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. I don't know what time it is. We'll call it 9:50. Or 8:50.